Before my wedding day, bandits defiled me and left me pregnant. Just as I was about to drink the abortion-inducing red flower soup my cousin handed me, I suddenly heard a desperate, childlike plea from within my womb, "Mother, don't. Neither I nor my sister are bastards. She wants to harm you. In your past life, after you aborted us, everyone caught you in the act. You ended up disgraced and ruined, strangled to death by white silk, while your cousin took your place and married into the Marquis' household." I realized this voice came from the dragon and phoenix twins within me. Helplessly, I asked, "Then who is your father? Was it truly the bandit? The one who conceived you that night wasn't a bandit at all." "It was." The red flower soup held to my lips cut off their words. My cousin urged me, "Sister, drink it quickly. Do you really want to marry into the Marquis' household carrying a bastard? I'm only doing this for your own good. A bandit's bastard must not be kept alive. One mother, you absolutely must not drink it." The alternating shrieks of young boys and girls exploded in my ears. "The dingin' Marquis who's to marry you in 10 days is hiding next door. Once the red flower soup enters your belly and blood gushes from your lower body, the Marquis will burst in to witness mother's humiliating miscarriage. Then this wicked man will insist mother committed adultery before marriage, ruining her reputation. She'll be strangled with white silk, and my brother and I will be devoured by dogs." Startled, I touched my belly, confirming the voice came from within, twins, a boy and a girl. My cousin Lin Chuyen, standing before me, wore an expression of utter calm, seemingly oblivious to the voice. She only pressed the bowl of abortion-inducing red flower soup urgently to my lips. "Sister, what are you hesitating for? The child in your womb is the bastard left behind by those bandits that night. Only by aborting it can you preserve your purity and deceive the world into marrying the Marquis. Don't drink it." "Wah! Mother, are you abandoning me and my sister in this life too?" The two children began wailing in terror. The moment their cries rang out, a horrifyingly vivid scene flashed before my eyes, so real it made my hair stand on end. I drank the safflower soup, collapsed in agony on the spot, my legs spreading uncontrollably as blood gushed from my lower body. My cousin, who had promised to guard my secret and keep others out, suddenly changed her expression and swung the door wide open. Soon, a crowd gathered at the doorway, led by my fiancé, Dingin Marquis Ruayan. The Marquis himself led his men to witness the entire process of my miscarriage. Pointing at me, he shouted in disappointment and anger, "He Ling Shu! Our marriage was decreed by His Majesty. How dare you betray me by conceiving a bastard child with another man, then attempt to hide it by aborting it?" My cousin, who had claimed to be looking out for me, also changed her tune, "Your lordship. Sister clearly had a betrothal to you, yet she couldn't bear the loneliness and ran off to sleep with bandits. Having lost her virtue, she still dared to dream of becoming the mistress of the Marquis' household. I couldn't stand her deceiving you, so I tricked her into drinking the safflower decoction, so that your lordship could witness it yourself. Qiu Yan, you've done well." Xie Ruiyan pulled Lin Qiu Yan into his embrace, tenderly caressing her. But my regret came too late. Stabbing pains tore through my abdomen. A warm flow surged out, and 2 clumps of crimson flesh fell between my legs. Lin Qiu Yan covered her nose in disgust. "Look. Sister's bastards are even twins. How amusing." Xie Ruiyan sneered coldly, "Throw these 2 bastards out to feed the dogs." He Ling Shu conspired with bandits, scheming to abort and deceive, utterly shameless. "Servants, strangle her with white silk." The sudden suffocating pressure around my neck sent a cold sweat drenching me. "Mother, mother, wake up." The anxious voices of my 2 children echoed from within my womb. "That was your past life. In this one, as long as you don't drink this soup, everything can still be reversed." Their voices pulled me back to reality. Staring intently at Lin Chuyen and the steaming bowl of safflower soup in her hands, I suddenly realized I had been reborn. I placed my hand on my belly and soothed them with my thoughts. "Don't be afraid, babies. Mommy is here. This time, Mommy will never abandon you." Indeed, the bond between mother and child is profound. Even the 2 babies could hear my thoughts. Upon receiving my promise, their cries instantly ceased. I could sense their vitality within me. "So, you are a pair of twins, a brother and sister?" "Yes, mother." The little boy said, "In our past life, I was expelled first by the red flower, then my sister followed in a miscarriage. That's why I'm the brother." My eyes stung. These two children had been separated in such a way. The little sister inside my belly sniffled. Little one wants so badly to be born and held in mother and father's arms. The brother inside my belly sounded aggrieved. Sis and I were perfectly fine in mother's womb. But the abortion potion contained not only red flowers but also deadly poison. We were both poisoned to death before being expelled from mother's body. In our past life, even if mother hadn't been strangled by the white silk, she would have died from the poison. I apologized guiltily in my heart. "My dear children, it's mother who's sorry to you. I didn't abandon you. I just felt so filthy. That day in the cave. Those bandits. A month ago, while offering incense, I encountered bandits. My carriage overturned, and I fell into an unexpected coma for a day and night. When I awoke, I had already been brought back to the He residence. The physician there declared my lower body torn, evidence of forced defloration. At that time, I already bore the imperial betrothal to Sieur Ruan, the Marquis of Dingen. My parents were terrified upon hearing the news. My cousin Lin Chuyen, who had accompanied me to offer incense, wept as she recounted finding me in a mountain cave. When she discovered me, she witnessed 5 or 6 burly bandits pinning me down. Lin Chuyen, though visibly shaken, stated with absolute certainty, "Those bandits kept you in that cave for a whole day and night. I can't bear to think what they did to you." Even the physician testified, "The young lady's lower body bears severe injuries. This could only have been inflicted by either a single, out-of-control, exceptionally strong man, or by a group of men taking turns." The doctor trailed off. I broke down in tears, convinced I had truly been defiled by 5 or 6 bandits. With the wedding imminent, Dingen Marquis Sieur Ruan was a newly honored meritorious official. This marriage was an imperial decree. If anyone discovered I had lost my virginity before the wedding, not only would I die, but the entire He family would be implicated. Mother sought out a midwife with extraordinary skills to repair my lower body, hoping to deceive the Marquis of Dingen on our wedding night. But no one could have predicted that despite all those bowls of contraceptive potions, I still became pregnant. In my previous life, I panicked. I hated those bandits, despised my own filth, and feared my loss of virtue would drag the entire He family down. Cornered on all sides, I drank that bowl of safflower soup Lin Chuyen offered. "Mother, don't blame yourself. Your daughter and sister both know how hard it was for you." The child within me sensed my anguish and turmoil, and told me, "Mother, rest assured. That night, it wasn't bandits who conceived this child with you. Lin Chuyen deliberately deceived you. She also tricked you into going up the mountain, leading to your abduction by bandits. But along the way, you were rescued by a great hero." I urgently pressed, Who? Who saved me?" "That great hero, our very own dear father." "Three sister, why haven't you drunk it yet? Are you afraid your little sister will harm you?" The twins' voices were abruptly cut off by Lin Chuyen. At that moment, Sieur Ruan was lurking in the next room, waiting to pounce. He was counting on me drinking the abortion potion so he could catch us red-handed. But as long as I didn't drink this bowl of medicine, Sieur Ruan and Lin Chuyen's scheme would fail. "Of course I'll drink it." I took the bowl, deliberately letting it scald my hand as I lifted it. Flipping it with my fingertips, the warm safflower broth spilled over, drenching Lin Chuyen's face. Caught off guard, Lin Chuyen's hands and face flushed red from the burn. The bowl crashed to the floor, shattering into pieces. "Oh dear, I must have dropped it. Cousin, are you all right?" A flash of cruelty flickered in Lin Chuyen's eyes, quickly concealed by a smile. "I'm fine. Sister, you truly don't want to drink it? You want to keep that bastard child? Sister, that bastard will be the death of you." I didn't refuse it. I just panicked earlier. "Cousin Chuyen, please bring me another bowl, will you?" Seeing my genuine desire for the tea, Lin Chuyen secretly relaxed and readily agreed. As soon as she turned toward the kitchen, I dashed out of the private room and hurried to the adjacent chamber. "This is the place. That wicked Marquis hid in this very room in my past life." After smelling blood and hearing Mother's screams, he stormed in with a pack of nobles, leaving Mother utterly humiliated and unable to defend herself. "Brother, Mother, I'm scared. I stroked my belly. Good child, don't be afraid. Mother is here. Even if beasts of prey lurked behind that door, I couldn't back down. Summoning my courage, I kicked the door open. Sure enough, I met several piercing gazes staring back at me. The cup in Sier Ruian's hand shattered on the floor the moment the door swung open. He stared at me outside the door in shock. They were all here, just as I suspected. I smiled with proper decorum. Marquisia, why didn't you tell me you were here? Sier Ruian studied me silently. Seeing I was unharmed, his expression darkened, his words laced with meaning. Lingshu, I intended to surprise you. Why did you come looking for me? My unborn daughter grew fearful. This wicked Marquis looks like he wants to devour Mother. He's so powerful, how can Mother possibly fight him? Stay calm. My son whispered, Mother, there's not only a villain in this room, but also the great hero who saved you that day. My nerves instantly tightened. What did you say? I swiftly scanned the other men present. Those close to Sier Ruian, the Marquis of Dingen, were all men of distinguished status. There was Su Yi, the newly crowned third-place scholar in the imperial examinations, unmatched in his handsomeness. Gu Xiaoyu, the young commander of the 3 armies, as upright as a pine tree. And even Crown Prince Li Changye, whose noble bearing remained undeniable even in plain clothes. In my past life, when I suffered a painful miscarriage, screaming and struggling in a pool of blood, all 3 of these men witnessed it. Before I died, I was utterly disgraced. Now my children tell me one of them is the man I shared intimacy with? I force myself to calm down, cursing the haze of memory from that day. I placed my hand on my belly, my little darlings, so. Which one of these 3 is your real father? For I remember father was incredibly strong. I remember father was tall and imposing, with rough, powerful hands that could lift Mother up by the waist. Stop, stop, stop. I cut off the children's innocent discussion, rubbing my belly. You don't actually not know who your real father is, do you? 2 apologetic childish voices came from within. Weary, sorry, Mother. About father, your brother, and I only remember a little. I was stunned. Then how can you be so sure he's a great hero? If it weren't for father that day, Mother would have fallen into the bandits' hands. And since father brought us into this world, he's definitely our little treasure's greatest hero. As for who he is, we can't be certain. But there's a bond between father and child, both me and my sister can sense it. Our real father is in this very house. There's no mistake about it. In my past life, they were brutally aborted after just 1 month in my womb. Remembering this much is already the limit for these 2 little ones. I could only confirm through details. You mentioned his hands were rough? I scanned the 3 men in the room beside Sier Ruian. Each stood tall and imposing, noble and distinguished. The third-place scholar rested his hand on the table with quiet elegance. Thin calluses were visible on his fingertips. A scholar wielding a brush for 10 years would develop such calluses. Young Marshal Gu carried a sword year-round, wielding a spear with awe-inspiring skill. Both hands must be covered in sword calluses and spear calluses. As for His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, as I bowed in greeting, I studied Crown Prince Li Changye closely. He sipped his tea with casual composure, undisturbed by my abrupt intrusion. A prince of royal blood, his hands likely more delicate than a maiden's, how could they bear calluses? It couldn't be the Crown Prince. The children also mentioned he possessed great strength. The third-place scholar was a bookish man, reputed to be clever but frail, unlikely to rescue me from bandits. My figure was rather full. Anyone capable of lifting me by the waist must be a martial artist, which narrowed it down to the young commander of the 3 armies, Gu Xiaoyu. My gaze involuntarily drifted toward Gu Xiaoyu. 3 years my senior, he possessed the striking features of a jade-faced demon. He'd been playing with his sword tassel when our eyes suddenly met. He paused, raised an eyebrow, and smiled. I immediately looked away, my ears burning. The twins, however, grew excited. Father is him. Mommy's making us all blush. Wonderful! If daddy's this handsome, neither me nor brother will be ugly babies. 5 Just as I sought further confirmation, Lin Chuyen returned carrying a bowl of red flower soup. Spotting me outside instead of in my room, and catching Sier Ruian ambushing next door, she nearly dropped the bowl in fright. Sister, how did you come out? You mustn't be seen now. She approached me and only then noticed the crown prince, a figure of such importance, beside Xie Ruian in the room. She immediately curtsied in greeting. The crown prince, seated at the head of the table, casually inquired, "Why is it said that he Lingshu cannot be seen?" I froze. How did the crown prince even remember my name? It must be because of Xie Ruian and the imperial decree of marriage. The situation shifted. Lin Chuyan glanced at Xie Ruian, who bowed to the crown prince and introduced, "Your Highness, this is Miss Lin, Lingshu's cousin." He feigned ignorance. "Is that a bowl of medicine you hold? Has Lingshu fallen ill?" Catching Xie Ruian's subtle signal, Lin Chuyan clenched her teeth and knelt abruptly, "Your Highness, forgive this humble servant. My cousin, bound by betrothal, has consorted with bandits and conceived an ill-gotten child. This is a bowl of safflower abortion decoction. Today, she sought to abort this illegitimate child, to deceive the Marquis and even the Emperor. The day I discovered my pregnancy, Lin Chuyan happened to catch me. She eagerly offered to resolve this predicament for me. She repeatedly warned me not to let my family know, or I would surely face a white silk noose. I was utterly panicked. Lin Chuyan devised a plan. I would leave home for 7 days under the pretense of traveling, hide in the moon-gathering pavilion, drink the safflower concoction to abort the fetus, and return to the He residence only after recovering, sparing my parents any worry. The moon-grasping pavilion was the most renowned inn in the imperial city. Its private rooms were exceptionally discreet. As long as the price was right, even if officials conducted a sudden inspection, the proprietor possessed the connections to stall them for the duration of a stick of incense. She swore she would arrange everything for me. I trusted her completely. After all, when she nearly drowned as children, I saved her life. Later, when the Lin family fell on hard times, it was I who suggested bringing Lin Chuyan to live in the He household. I treated her so well, never suspecting she could harm me. But in my past life, she deliberately let 4 men catch me in a compromising position. And in this life, even though I broke free from that trap, she still intends to crush me today. When my cousin went to worship at Jade Spring Mountain, she encountered bandits along the way. When I found her, I saw her embracing 5 bandits, utterly lost in ecstasy. Though she was forcibly abducted, her expression clearly showed she was reveling in it. Afterwards, to cover up her dishonor, Lady Lu, the matriarch of the He family, hired a wet nurse to fake her virginity. The He family, desperate to secure this marriage alliance with the Marquis's household, shamelessly took such a reckless risk. But they never imagined she'd conceive the bandit's bastard. Lin Chuyan grew increasingly agitated. "A swollen belly can't be hidden. This bowl of medicine is safflower decoction. My cousin plans to hide here and secretly abort the child to deceive the Marquis. Marquis Xie is a hero who protects our nation. I cannot bear to see him toyed with by my cousin and the He family. Moreover, this marriage was bestowed by His Majesty himself. My cousin's actions are nothing less than a provocation against the imperial family and a contemptuous disregard for royal authority. That wicked woman. Mother, don't listen to her lies. Those who attacked you were definitely not bandits. She's saying this on purpose to make Mother fearful, ashamed, and cowardly. To make Mother lose all reason, just like in my past life. Once Mother is completely panicked, she'll truly be at their mercy." The words of the Dragon Phoenix twins calmed my heart. I stared at Lin Chuyan with a chill in my heart. "Cousin, you never intended to help me from the start. You only wanted to harm me, didn't you?" Lin Chuyan seemed surprised by my composure. After all, in my previous life, her words had terrified me into losing all control, making me obey her every command. She remained righteous and stern. "Sister, if you dare to do wrong, you shouldn't fear exposure. I simply cannot tolerate such shameless behavior. I'm merely doing what's right." I sneered coldly. "What a noble and courageous daughter. Your Lin family was ruined years ago for embezzling disaster relief grain. Who would have thought corrupt officials could produce a daughter who would sacrifice her own kin for righteousness?" Lin Chuyan's face paled. "Back then, Magistrate Lin embezzled $1 million in disaster relief grain, leading to the execution of all male descendants and the exile of the womenfolk. It was a disgrace that echoed throughout the capital. A decade later, Lin Chuyan would have gladly changed her surname to He to bury that shame. Suddenly confronted with this public reminder, she was utterly humiliated and fell silent. I pressed my advantage. Your family fell from grace long ago. My he family took you in, gave you sustenance, yet you show no gratitude. You even tried to stab me in the back? If memory serves, when your father, Magistrate Lin, was investigated for corruption, he twisted truth into lies with the same silver tongue, only to end up with his tongue cut out and his head severed. Yet you show no caution. Now you lie before the crown prince. Do you not fear losing your own tongue? Lin Chuyan fumed, steam practically rising from her head. You? What about me? I shot her a cold glance. I merely stated the truth. Is that enough to enrage you? It seems you're aware your family's shameful deeds are too disgraceful to be brought to light. You still possess a shred of shame. If you truly had shame, how could you commit such ungrateful treachery today, slandering your benefactor? Cousin, you truly disappoint your elder cousin. I looked down on her with contempt. If I were you, I'd have hanged myself long ago with a white silk cord. How dare you show your face in this world? Lin Chuyan's face turned ashen with rage. She opened her mouth wide, ready to retort, but not a single word came out. The Lin family's crimes were decreed by His Majesty. Had she dared utter a single word of protest, I could have immediately accused her before the crown prince of the grave offense of questioning imperial intent. At that point, even 9 heads wouldn't have been enough for the royal family to chop off. Lin Chuyan's lips trembled, and suddenly, she retched. She had actually vomited from my anger. Mother scolded her well. She deserved to be scolded right down to her spine. Humph, I wish I could be born right here and now, grow up instantly, and slap that wicked woman twice. It seemed my younger son was level-headed, while my younger daughter had a temper like a firecracker. For the sake of these 2 young lives, I could not back down. I bowed solemnly to the crown prince. Your Highness, please discern clearly. Do not be blinded by petty schemers. 7 He Ling Shu, you're completely evading the question. Seeing Lin Chuyan's defense crumbling, Xie Ruiyan clearly grew impatient. He stepped closer to me. You're fixated on Lin Chuyan's family affairs, dodging the crucial points. Clearly, you have a guilty conscience. This marquis asks only, how did you escape the bandits when you encountered them on the mountain? He struck straight at the heart of the matter. If I claimed someone saved me, he'd inevitably question whether my relationship with that rescuer was above suspicion. Besides, Su Yi and Gu Xiaoyu, the men the children suspected, showed no reaction. Why won't Daddy acknowledge us? The Dragon Phoenix twins fussed over me. Whoever it was, since he refused to acknowledge me, I couldn't say more. What if that person also wanted to silence me? I could trust no one lightly anymore. Just as Xie Ruiyan's questioning left me flustered and helpless, Crown Prince Li Changye suddenly shot him an impatient glance. What business is it of yours? He Lingxi was petitioning me, she addressed the Crown Prince. Xie Ruiyan, are you the Crown Prince? Xie Ruiyan froze, his haughty demeanor shattered instantly. He hastily apologized, Your Highness jests. I would never presume to usurp your position. Li Changye asked coldly, who is the sovereign? Who is the subject? Xie Ruiyan bowed deeply, respectfully correcting himself. This humble subject has usurped your highness's authority. I deserve death 1,000 times over. Li Changye set down his teacup, casually drawing a dagger encrusted with gems. He ran his fingertips along the blade, idly remarking, dare you overstep again and interrupt, and this crown prince will cut out your tongue. Cold sweat beaded on Xie Ruiyan's forehead as he bowed his head even lower. Li Changye's gaze shifted to me, his expression twisting into an eccentric smile. Miss He, continue. Everyone in the room held their breath, terrified by the crown prince's unpredictable mood. Only the 2 children in my womb cheered, oh my. The crown prince looks at our mother with such tenderness. The crown prince was famously a royal playboy. Just as I was about to warn my children not to be so naive, my younger son spoke. I remember in my past life, when mother was brutally murdered, bloodied and dying in agony, it was the crown prince who removed his outer robe to cover her, giving her dignity. Is that true? I was secretly startled. After my death in the previous life, I had lost all consciousness. I only knew that when I died, my legs were splayed wide, gradually stiffening, frozen in the humiliating posture of a miscarriage. Dying so disgracefully, I dared not dwell on the stain it left on my name. That someone would cover my body at that moment was indeed an act of kindness. Crown Prince Li Changye's reputation was actually quite poor. From childhood, the palace had whispered of his eccentric and violent temper, repeatedly clashing with the Empress Dowager. Only her indulgence and favor had kept him in check, yet the prince grew arrogant from his privilege, incorrigible despite repeated admonishments. Later, the Empress Dowager appointed Xie Ruian, 5 years the prince's senior, as his chief advisor. Only then did the Eastern Palace begin to show some semblance of order. I once believed Xie Ruian to be a humble gentleman and peerless hero, while the crown prince was an uneducated, idle royal scoundrel. Only later did I learn that Xie Ruian was a hypocritical beast with a human face. Could it be that the crown prince isn't as wicked as rumored? If His Highness truly is a good man, then I have even more hope of turning the tables. Your Highness, please understand. While I did encounter bandits at Jade Spring Mountain, I escaped through my own wits. I never colluded with them. Very well. I believe you. Rise. My eyes widened. What? He believed me that easily? My story was full of holes if you looked closely, like, how could a lady like me, alone in the wilderness, possibly fight off a band of bandits? Your Highness. I have a question. Xie Ruian wouldn't let me off the hook, but he dared not argue directly. Instead, he humbly sought the crown prince's permission. Li Changye said, Marquis Xia, kneel. Only then will this crown prince permit you to question He Lingshu. Otherwise, someone might confuse the senior and junior princes. Over the years, Xie Ruian's reputation as the Marquis of Dingen had indeed nearly eclipsed that of the crown prince himself. Whenever the Eastern Palace achieved anything, the people attributed it to Xie Ruian, the advisor. The crown prince's subtle attitude towards Xie Ruian was likely due to this very reason. To bring me down, Xie Ruian actually knelt. The moment his knees touched the ground, Li Changye said to me, He Lingshu, rise. With both of you kneeling together, one might mistake this for a wedding ceremony. This crown prince has no interest in officiating. Startled, I obeyed and stood. I was stunned by how unconventionally this crown prince thought, defying all expectations. Thus, Xie Ruian confronted me. But since he was kneeling while I stood, he had to look up at me. This reversal of height and position made me less afraid of him, steadying my nerves. Every word from Xie Ruian was a lethal blow. He Lingshu, I know you. You couldn't even bear to watch a chicken being slaughtered. Facing ruthless bandits, you'd surely be defenseless. Did you submit to those bandits just to survive? If so, it's understandable, a necessary compromise. I won't blame you. You know I've always looked down on fame and fortune. If you tell the truth, the Marquis' household won't reject you. The dragon and phoenix twins in my womb protested indignantly, what a vile man. He puts on this tolerant act while forcing a guilty verdict on mother. What the hell is this Marquis pretending to be? A bastard born without a mother's love. The children cursed viciously, but they cursed accurately. On the day Xie Ruian was born, his birth mother, the Marquis' principal wife, died in childbirth. He lost his mother at a young age. The old Marquis, devastated by the loss of his beloved wife, renounced his title and retired to Xian Manor, devoting himself entirely to Taoist cultivation. It was said the old Marquis painted portraits of his deceased wife throughout the entire estate to help her transcend. He burned incense before them daily, praying only for her ascent to the celestial realms and liberation from the suffering of reincarnation. The old Marquis' devotion was legendary. Everyone praised his love for his wife as if she were his very life, his ethereal and ascetic demeanor. Influenced by his father, Xie Ruian, despite his noble title, truly carried himself with an air of detached indifference and indifference to worldly fame. Thus, when he petitioned the emperor for my hand in marriage, the emperor granted it with remarkable swiftness. After the imperial matchmaking, he treated me with extraordinary tenderness and care. In my previous life, I had genuinely developed feelings for him, which is why I felt such profound guilt and anguish when I mistakenly believed I had betrayed him. The Marquis Xie's reputation was impeccable. If word got out that I'd been unfaithful before marriage and deceived him, the gossip of the capital's citizens would drown me. With just a few words, he'd cornered me. Mother, don't fight this. Ask Father for help. Father will definitely help us. My gaze fell upon Gu Xiaoyu, if he had been the one on the mountain that day, he would have come to my aid. I had to take a gamble. I looked at Lin Chuyen. You claim to have seen me with 5 bandits with your own eyes. Did you observe them closely? Of course I saw clearly. Those 5 assassins were all massive builds, several with knife scars on their faces and tattoos on their arms. Eager to pin the crime on me, Lin Chuyen blurted it out without a second thought. I didn't argue. I only looked at Gu Xiaoyu. General Gu, I've heard that on that day at Yichuan Mountain, assassins attempted to kill His Royal Highness the Crown Prince? Gu Xiaoyu replied, that is correct. Not all of the assassins' accomplices have been apprehended yet. The assassins' accomplices are right inside this room. I declared with unwavering conviction. I accuse Lin Chuyen and Marquis Xia of colluding with assassins to attempt the Crown Prince's life. 9 Xia Ruian stiffened, his body radiating murderous intent. What nonsense are you spouting? Lin Chuyen was also startled. How could we possibly be colluding with assassins? Is that so? Yichuan Mountain is divided into East Mountain and West Mountain. East Mountain houses a royal hunting ground, while West Mountain holds the official road leading to the temple atop the mountain. The day I visited the temple coincided with the Crown Prince's assassination attempt in the hunting grounds. After the Crown Prince narrowly escaped death, the entire city issued warrants for the assassin's capture. The authorities explicitly ordered that all suspicious individuals present on the mountain that day be reported. The wanted notice clearly stated, anyone with knowledge who fails to report it shall be deemed an accomplice. Young Marshal Gu, is this true? Gu Xiaoyu replied, indeed, it is true. Attempting to assassinate the Crown Prince is a grave crime. Any trace of evidence should be reported to the Supreme Court. I pressed further, were the bandits on the mountain that day considered suspicious persons? Naturally. The bandits could very well have been disguised assassins or provided cover for the assassins. Having received Gu Xiaoyu's definitive answer, I turned to question Lin Chuyen. Cousin, you heard that too. Since you witnessed the bandits defiling me and clearly saw their appearance, why have you kept this secret all these days, refusing to report it to the authorities? And Lord Xia, judging by your actions today, you must have known about the bandits all along. Lin Chuyen is the daughter of a corrupt official who doesn't understand the bigger picture, but you don't either? You're His Royal Highness the Crown Prince's confidant. When the bandit incident was brought to your attention, your first instinct wasn't to investigate whether the bandits colluded with assassins. Instead, you came to confront me? Your loyalty to the Crown Prince is truly admirable. Xia Ruian's eyes darted nervously. Before he could protest, I turned to Li Chanye. Your Highness, consider this. Whoever planted assassins on Jade Spring Mountain to target you must wield significant power and influence, and know your private movements. By that logic, isn't Marquis Xia the prime suspect? I was making wild accusations. Xia Ruian wanted to accuse me of adultery, so I countered by accusing him of plotting to assassinate the Crown Prince. Slandering someone? Anyone can do that. He accused me of treason, so I accused him of rebellion. I'd drag him down with me even in death. Xia Ruian's reaction was even more intense than I'd anticipated. He suddenly flew into a rage, drew his sword, and pointed it at me. He Ling Shu, how dare you slander me like this? Your Highness, do not believe her slander. I instinctively shielded my belly, where the 2 children inside huddled together in terror. But before the blade could reach me, a sword she swept past, and with a loud clang, Xia Ruian's sword snapped clean in 2. That was his prized chaining blade. His eyes darkened with malice as he followed the blade's edge and met Gu Xiaoyu's cold, stern gaze. Gu Xiaoyu sheathed his sword and stepped before me, deliberately shielding me behind him. Xia Ruian, drawing a blade and harboring murderous intent before the Crown Prince? You must have lost your mind. Only then did Xia Ruian realize his own indiscretion. Gu Xiaoyu pressed, those bandits on the mountain could indeed have been the assassin's accomplices, as he Ling Shu claimed. Since you and Lin Chuyen knew this all along, why didn't you report it? In terms of military merit, Gu Xiaoyu was at least 2 ranks above Xia Ruian. Xia Ruian could only answer honestly, Lin Chuyen told me about it too. But it was just women scheming among themselves. I didn't take it seriously at all. Gu Xiaoyu pressed, if you didn't take it seriously, then why did you just now say those things to make everyone suspect Missy had lost her virtue? You should know how important chastity is to a young woman. Xie Ruian was rendered speechless by Gu Xiaoyu's questioning. After a long pause, he managed to stammer out, Lin Chuyan misled me. Gu Xiaoyu abruptly fixed his gaze on Lin Chuyan, his eyes as imposing and piercing as an eagle's. Lin Chuyan flinched, her shoulders trembling. I just saw, her voice cracked as tears threatened to spill. Gu Xiaoyu cut her off coldly. Think carefully before you speak. If you truly saw bandits and kept this knowledge hidden all this time, I suspect you colluded with assassins to harm the crown prince. That crime warrants execution. Lin Chuyan protested. Lingshu knew about the bandits too, yet she never said a word. I was utterly innocent, cousin. I was gravely wounded and unconscious that day. Every detail about the bandits was told to me by you, with absolute certainty. Miss, he is the victim, you are the witness. The investigation naturally centers on you. If you refuse to speak, you'll be sent to the Supreme Court of Justice. Once there, torture is inevitable. Gu Xiaoyu kindly reminded her, Miss Lin, your corrupt official father had his tongue cut out in the Supreme Court of Justice precisely because he lied. Lin Chuyan trembled violently at Gu Xiaoyu's words. She looked to Xie Ruian for help. Your Excellency, what should I do? Gu Xiaoyu smiled as he reminded Xie Ruian, Brother Xia, if she insists on consulting you about every detail, I'll find it hard not to suspect you're an accomplice. We both hold military ranks. If you make a mistake, you'll face military discipline. Gu Xiaoyu was 2 ranks above Xie Ruian. This was laying down the law up front. If Xie Ruian was involved, he'd be dealt with under military law. Military law meant punishment by beating or execution. It was no joke. Cold sweat beaded on Xie Ruian's forehead. Lin Chuyan, why are you looking at me? At this point, don't play those inner courtyard mind games. Just tell the truth. Lin Chuyan trembled at the shout and finally spoke, I actually didn't see anything. I saw nothing. Really? Really? Young General, I saw nothing. Everything I said earlier was just my speculation. I truly saw nothing. I just assumed my cousin had been missing for a day and night, so she must have fallen into the bandits' hands. It was all my guesswork. The Marquis was misled by me too. I have absolutely no connection to those bandits. So you admit everything you said earlier was a false accusation? Lin Chuyan's face twisted with terror and resentment. Finally, she lowered her head and gritted her teeth. Yes, I falsely accused Lingshu. This entire thing was my false accusation. Is that enough? Are you satisfied now? She threw a tantrum, but no one paid her any mind. Gu Xiaoyu turned to the crown prince and said, Your Highness, I leave the decision to you. The moment she heard the crown prince would decide her fate, Lin Chuyan begged for mercy in terror. Your Highness, I lied. But I absolutely did not collude with bandits. Even if you gave me 10 lives, I wouldn't dare. The crown prince replied, Why are you kneeling before me? It wasn't me you slandered and humiliated. Lin Chuyan froze, then immediately turned to me, kowtowing, Cousin, sister. It was all my jealousy talking. There were no bandits, I was just trying to scare you. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. She kept kowtowing. The crown prince didn't call for her to stop, nor did I. The baby in my womb was delighted. Father Gu is so amazing. He's protecting mother and little one. His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is wonderful too. He knows mother suffered injustice. He's avenging mother. I confirmed I truly hadn't been defiled by bandits. The heavy weight in my heart vanished instantly. Just as I was about to breathe a huge sigh of relief, Xie Ruian suddenly said, Your Highness, even if Lingshu didn't consort with bandits, the child in her womb is a fact. Otherwise, she wouldn't be hiding here today, secretly drinking the safflower decoction. 11. What does the safflower soup prove? Since it proves nothing, then drink it. If there is no child within you, this safflower soup will not harm you in the slightest. When I met Xie Ruian's fierce gaze, I knew he was determined to kill me today. My repeated, instinctive hand to my belly only confirmed to him the truth of my pregnancy. But I did not understand why he hated me so intensely. Was it solely because of Lin Chuyan? Yet this imperial decree of marriage was clearly sought by Sier Ruyan himself. He was the one who pursued me, I never forced this upon him. Being inexplicably hated by Sier Ruyan felt like being relentlessly mauled by a vicious dog. Seeing my hesitation to drink, Sier Ruyan immediately counterattacked, Your Highness, my marriage to He Lingshu was decreed by His Majesty. Until our wedding day, I have strictly maintained the propriety of a gentleman. Yet He Lingshu has already conceived with another. Even if it wasn't the bandits, there must be another adulterer. The crown prince looked at my belly. He Lingshu, are you truly with child? My eyes instinctively sought Gu Xiaoyu. He had uncovered the truth about the bandits, but this matter was beyond his authority to intervene in now. Is there anything I can do to assist Miss He? He inquired kindly. Yet beyond that kindness, his gaze held no hint of other complex emotions. I found myself wavering. Was it really young General Gu that day? If it was him, given his character, he should have acknowledged it by now. The two children were also bewildered. Could it be that Father Gu is hesitating because Mother is now Sier Ruyan's fiancée? Stupid daddy, so timid and cowardly. Not brave at all. Regardless of the reason, if he wouldn't acknowledge it, I absolutely couldn't admit I was pregnant. Children, is there any way to prevent the doctor from detecting your existence? My youngest son immediately replied, There is. If my sister and I hold our breath while the doctor takes our pulse, he won't be able to detect Mother's pregnancy pulse. Does Mother not want anyone to know we exist? I reassured my daughter, now is not the time for others to know. What Mother must do is protect you both. My little daughter said, Okay. Mother, don't worry. We'll hide ourselves well. With my children's help, I told the Crown Prince, Your Highness, this servant is not pregnant. Whether you are pregnant or not is not for you to decide. We must have the physician examine you. Sier Ruyan clapped his hands, and two seasoned physicians entered from outside. Please extend your hand, young lady, so this old man may examine it. I held out my hand. The two babies in my womb grew still. The physician had been sent by Sier Ruyan, naturally with the intent of confirming my pregnancy. He began with ease, but soon his brow furrowed slightly. His fingers pressed harder and harder, almost pinching my pulse. Doctor, after all this time, have you reached a conclusion? The doctor finally withdrew his hand. Simultaneously, the two children in my womb gasped for air. We're suffocating, Mother. The Crown Prince asked, What is it? The doctor glanced at Sier Ruyan before respectfully reporting, Your Highness, Missy shows no signs of pregnancy. Sier Ruyan grew frantic. Impossible. She is clearly pregnant. Your Excellency, I have taken her pulse repeatedly. There truly is no sign of pregnancy. 12 Dr. Liu, you take over. Another physician, surnamed Liu, stepped forward and grasped my wrist. He too came with a preconceived answer, determined to find the pregnancy pulse in my veins. His examination lasted an eternity. My pulse had been steady and devoid of any pregnancy signs. Suddenly, Dr. Liu's beard twitched. Pregnancy pulse. This is unmistakably a pregnancy pulse. At that very moment, my youngest son's guilty voice echoed from within my womb, Mother, I really can't hold it in anymore. The child's breath immediately manifested in the pulse. Huff huff. My youngest daughter couldn't hold it in either and began to shift her breath. Dr. Liu's eyebrows practically leaped off his face. Not only is it a pregnancy pulse, but it's twins. Everyone present was startled. Impossible. I hastily denied it. When Dr. Shin took my pulse again, the pregnancy pulse vanished. But when Dr. Liu arrived, it reappeared. This intermittent pulse led the Crown Prince to order 3 more physicians to be summoned. Honored by the heir apparent's summons, these doctors took their time, examining my pulse at length. The children, unable to hold it in, would occasionally let some detect the pregnancy pulse, while others found nothing at all. Opinions were divided. Sier Ruyan insisted I was pregnant, arguing that a 1-month pregnancy naturally showed intermittent signs in the pulse. At this moment, Lin Chuyan regained her composure and declared, Sister is indeed pregnant. I swear on my life, I would never lie about this. As the parties argued heatedly, the crown prince suddenly turned his gaze to Sui, the third-place scholar sitting quietly nearby. Sui, I recall you were known as the little divine physician before passing the provincial exams. Go and take Yi Ling Shu's pulse. The third-place scholar, who had been seated close to the crown prince, rose to obey. He stepped forward. Please extend your hand, young lady, so I may examine it. I'd long heard Suing was exceptionally handsome. From afar, it hadn't struck me, but up close, my breath caught, truly a vision of grace and beauty. No wonder, during the victory parade, he'd been showered with silk handkerchiefs and perfume pouches by the capital's women. Though his literary prowess might have been slightly less impressive, his striking appearance alone overshadowed even the top scholar. His eyes held the refined elegance of a scholar, yet also the compassionate gaze of a former physician. I found myself trusting him instinctively. The moment I extended my hand, a sharp, cold fragrance hit my nose. Unusually familiar. Even the two children in my womb perked up. This scent. This is the scent we smelled the moment we entered mother's womb. Could it be that our father isn't young General Gu, but this third-place scholar? I gasped. Hold on. You can't just claim every handsome man you meet as your father. How many fathers do you think you have? 13, mother. Try to recall this scent precisely. As the third-place scholar took my pulse, the fragrance grew stronger, stirring hazy memories. I remembered that day, my consciousness muddled, yet enveloped by an utterly captivating scent. That fragrance was like a mountain snow wind, brushing against my face, pure and crystalline. Only, the scent back then was far more potent. The one on Suyi's body was lighter, as if picked up from somewhere. While I was lost in savoring the scent, Sui had already placed his fingers on my pulse. The calluses on his fingertips brushed against my skin. He didn't pinch my pulse like other physicians, seemingly having no intention of making things difficult for me. But the two children within me mistook him for their father, becoming so excited they forgot to conceal their presence. Suyi's calm expression suddenly cracked. My whole body stiffened. It was over. He must have noticed. Before I could find words to cover it up, Sui had already turned to report to the crown prince, Your Highness, Miss He's, her pulse is indeed unusual. Xie Ruian chuckled, the third-place scholar's medical skill rivals that of the imperial physicians. Even he has detected your pregnancy. He Ling Shu, how do you intend to wriggle out of this now? Your Excellency, when did I ever say this Miss He was pregnant? Xie Ruian froze. But her pulse being unusual doesn't mean an unusual pulse doesn't equate to pregnancy. I merely detected that Miss He suffered considerable fright today, causing slight disruption in her qi and blood flow, a classic floating pulse. As for the matter of pregnancy, Sui addressed the crown prince, Your Highness, this humble servant detected no signs of pregnancy whatsoever. With the third-place scholar's decisive verdict, the other physicians dared not speak further. The Dragon Phoenix twins were thrilled. Daddy clearly saw Mother's pregnancy pulse and helped conceal it. That's our wonderful Daddy. Exactly. If he weren't our dad, why would he cover for Mother? Mother, I love this sweet-smelling Daddy. I sighed helplessly. Children, this isn't how you acknowledge a father. The crown prince declared, if Sui says she isn't pregnant, then she isn't. Xie Ruian refused to believe it. Impossible. Your Highness, you've been deceived. Lin Chuyan also cried out, I saw her suffering morning sickness with my own eyes. Her period hasn't come. What else could it be but pregnancy? Sui replied lightly, Miss He simply has some digestive discomfort, qi stagnation, and physical weakness. Xie Ruian protested, but she clearly, enough. The crown prince's patience snapped. Xie Ruian, He Ling Shu is the fiancé bestowed upon you by His Majesty. Your repeated dissatisfaction and slander today suggest your grievance isn't with Yi Ling Shu, it's with the Emperor. Xie Ruian hastily knelt, Your Highness, I never meant such a thing. I graced you with my presence today, yet you make this crown prince witness your petty tricks? Li Changya spoke, then seized a teacup from the table and hurled it directly at Xie Ruian's forehead. Splashed with scalding water, Xie Ruian's hairpin flew askew. Gritting his teeth, he endured, Your Highness, please calm your anger. 14 Li Changya turned to me, He Ling Shu, Lin Chuyan has wronged you. How do you wish to deal with her? Speak boldly, This crown prince will decide your fate. I bowed respectfully. Your Highness, Qiao Yan is still my cousin. Her repeated attempts to frame me stem from jealousy. I cannot bring myself to punish her harshly. I shall only require her to drink this bowl of safflower soup. Lin Qiao Yan's shoulders jerked. No, I won't drink it. Safflower is harmful to a woman's body. Why should I drink it? Safflower is also used medicinally. Besides, did you not just claim to care for me? Surely the dose in this soup isn't excessive. You have erred today, this is but a minor correction. I lifted the safflower and held it to Lin Qiao lips. She struggled fiercely, refusing to open her mouth. I looked helplessly at the crown prince. Your Highness, if Lin Qiao refuses to accept this minor punishment, I can only request you to handle it according to the law. To my surprise, the crown prince agreed with my suggestion. You bear an imperial decree granting marriage. Lin Qiao's slander against you is contempt toward the imperial family. How should she be punished according to the law? Sui, you tell me. Sui continued, despising the imperial family and attempting murder warrant 80 lashes in the punishment yard. Most die from such a beating. I've heard it can break one's spine. If she survives crippled, she'll be sent to the heavenly prison for life. The crown prince seemed amused. Since Lin Qiao refuses to drink, escort her to the Supreme Court for trial. No, no. Lin Qiao had already tasted the agony of the heavenly prison a decade ago when her family was ruined. The fear ingrained in her bones made her open her mouth, but the moment I forced the red flower into her, she struggled violently and spat it all out. Crawling on all fours to Xie Ruian's feet, she begged, Your Lordship, save me. Xie Ruian's face was flushed crimson from the crown prince's scalding tea, his complexion half red, half white, a terrifying sight. Your Lordship, I cannot drink that soup. It contains. Xie Ruian seized her chin with brutal force, cutting her words off mid-sentence. Atone for your own sins. His intent was clear, to make Lin Qiao bear sole responsibility for today's events. Lin Qiao collapsed to the ground, her spirit utterly crushed, murmuring, I can't drink it. I can't drink it. Guards hoisted her up, bringing the bowl of safflower soup to her lips once more. Suddenly, she broke down and screamed, I can't drink safflower. I'm carrying Lord Xie's child. An eerie silence hung over the scene for a moment. I snorted derisively, finally. Finally you've said it. 15 in my previous life, when I suffered a painful miscarriage, Lin Qiao had cradled her own belly while leaning against Xie Ruian's embrace. That was when I realized, she had long been having an affair with Xie Ruian and was pregnant. Just now, my mocking words had her retching uncontrollably, confirming my suspicions. She carried Xie Ruian's child. That's why she schemed to lure me up the mountain, hiring bandits to frame me, all to secure legitimacy for the child growing inside her. Lin Qiao knew uttering those words would destroy her entire future. Desperate, she threw caution to the wind, Your Excellency, you know this child is yours. How could you bear to make me drink this bowl of safflower decoction? Lin Qiao suddenly grew frantic, lunging to knock the bowl from my hand. I effortlessly dodged her grasp. Half the liquid spilled, and she recoiled as if from a venomous snake, terrified that even a drop touching her skin might harm her precious unborn child. I sneered coldly, so the adulterers from start to finish were you and Xie Ruian, two thieves crying thief. She tried to use the child as an excuse, I only wanted to protect my child. What's wrong with that? I fell in love with your lordship first. This child was conceived through mutual affection. I'd rather die than drink this bowl of safflower. How truly pitiful is the love of parents. The crown prince suddenly uttered this remark with profound meaning. Seeing the crown prince's softened attitude, Xie Ruian promptly admitted his fault and pleaded, Your Highness, I beg you to spare Lin Qiao's life for the sake of our innocent child. Xie Ruian had invited the crown prince today intending to expose my shameful behavior, solidifying my guilt and disgrace. Now, however, it was he who knelt before the crown prince, pleading for mercy again and again. Spare her? Fine. Li Changye gave a wicked smile. He ordered someone to take the half-bowl of safflower soup from my hands and personally handed it to Xie Ruian. Drink this soup in place of Lady Lin, and this crown prince will spare you both, adulterer and adulteress, this once. Xie Ruian looked up in terror. The crown prince's eyes sparkled with amusement, yet held an unyielding compulsion that burped no refusal. What? Afraid to drink it? Your servant, Sieur Ruan, took the bowl. This Marquis Xia, who prided himself on indifference to fame and fortune, trembled violently at the sight of half a bowl of safflower. The crown prince was amused by his reaction and asked the third-place scholar curiously, Sui, is this safflower soup harmful to men too? Sui replied, Your Highness, safflower is severely damaging to women, but for men, it has the effect of promoting blood circulation and dispersing blood stasis. I see that Lord Xia is harboring considerable pent-up anger today. Drinking this bowl of safflower will actually be beneficial for him. So it's actually a tonic. The crown prince lifted Sieur Ruan's chin with a dagger, grinning mischievously. Then why are you afraid to drink it? Could it be that Ruan isn't a man, but a woman? He lifted his foot, lightly kicking Sieur Ruan's stomach with his shoe, taunting maliciously. Could it be that Lord Xia is carrying a child in his belly, which is why he avoids this bowl of safflower soup like the plague? 16. This was undoubtedly humiliating. Sieur Ruan forced a smile. Your Highness is joking. The crown prince's smile vanished, replaced by a palpable aura of hostility. Since that's not the case, then drink it. This is a gift from this crown prince. Do you dare refuse? Sieur Ruan suppressed the rage boiling in his temples, lifting the bowl of medicine hesitantly to his lips. Just as he was about to drink, Lin Chuyan suddenly lunged forward, knocking the bowl of safflower soup to the ground. Don't drink it! Your lordship! The soup is laced with deadly poison. Sieur Ruan closed his eyes, knowing everything was lost. He had administered the poison, so naturally he possessed the antidote. Drinking the soup would be a risky gamble, but at least it could prove his innocence and allow him to escape unscathed from today's trap. Yet all of this had been ruined by that fool, Lin Chuyan. Sieur Ruan's eye twitched violently, his shame and fury reaching their peak. I clutched my mouth in feigned horror. The soup is poisoned. So from the very beginning, Lin Chuyan intended to poison me, and Marquis Xia was her accomplice. No, he must be the mastermind. Kneeling before the crown prince, I cried out my innocence. Your Highness, receiving the emperor's betrothal decree was an immense honor. Yet I've suffered such calculated persecution from Marquis Xia without cause. I implore you to vindicate me. The crown prince rose and personally helped me up, his sharp, fragrant scent washing over me. The crown prince smells nice too, my unborn daughter remarked. But facing this eccentric prince, I was too flustered to notice. Li Changya's amber eyes fixed on me as he said, I shall report your grievances to His Majesty today. Yet after this, your marriage to Sieur Ruan is likely doomed. To forfeit the title of Marquise's wife, is that not a pity? I glanced at Sieur Ruan, who was lying defeated on the ground, and replied bluntly, Your Highness, this humble maiden finds the Marquis Xia filthy. To be his wife would be worse than entering a convent. Li Changya burst into laughter. Rest assured, I won't make you enter a convent. Return to the palace. I watched the crown prince depart, hearing the child in my womb say, I think this crown prince still has his charm. He wouldn't be a bad choice for a father. He is the future emperor. If he were your father, you would be born princes and princesses. I smiled and soothed these two innocent little ones. Mommy wouldn't dare dream such daydreams. 17. Sui and Gu Xiaoyu escorted me back to the He residence. Father was startled to see me surrounded by a third-place scholar on one side and a marshal on the other. Sui had men bring Lin Chuyan back to the He residence in chains, accusing her of adultery with Marquis Xia. Lin Chuyan was now publicly recognized as the He family's adopted daughter. Sui had thought it through thoroughly. The He family must sever all ties with Lin Chuyan before her crimes could be properly investigated. Seeing my mother's worried expression, Gu Xiaoyu reassured her that I had done him a great favor today, a major contribution. Only then did mother relax. I thanked them one by one, though I never got the chance to ask in detail about what had happened on the mountain that day. Father and mother were relieved that it wasn't me who had gotten into trouble today, nor was I the one carrying a child. The two little ones in my belly chattered away. Are these our maternal grandparents? Grandpa and Grandma, hello! Grandma is so beautiful. No wonder she gave birth to such a lovely mother. My parents looked like survivors of a catastrophe, completely oblivious to the children's thoughts. I dared not let them know, fearing it would terrify them. The moment Lin Chuyan stepped off the carriage, she screamed, "I'm carrying the Marquis's child. Your daughter is carrying a bastard." With a sharp smack, Mother stepped forward and slapped Lin Chuyan across the face. 10 years ago, Ling Shu took pity on you and accepted you as her sister. You ate our food, lived off our family, yet showed no gratitude, and now you dare harm my daughter. A rotten bamboo stalk never produces good shoots. If I'd known, I'd have let you be sold to a brothel with the Lin family's women back then. What a waste of our family's kindness. Father stepped forward to calm Mother's rage, but only summoned the servants. Take Lin Chuyan to the ancestral hall. Tomorrow, we'll summon the clan elders to sever ties with this woman. With Father and Mother handling the aftermath, today's ordeal was finally over. That night, well-fed and content, I lay in bed listening to the movements of my two little treasures within. So glad we all survived, Mother. Mommy is so brave. We'll be just as strong as you someday. Mommy, 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 we love you the most. Their voices melted my heart. The two babies danced and celebrated inside me. Mother and child share a bond, their joy was contagious. I stroked my belly, profoundly grateful I'd protected these two. Still, after all this turmoil, I still don't know who your real father is. Just then, my younger son cautiously asked from inside, "Mother, what if we're both wrong? What if our father is just an ordinary man, not a general, not a high official, not even a prince? Would you abandon us then?" His sister grew fearful too. "If Mother doesn't want us, we'll help Mother fight the bad guys. We'll stay quiet in here and won't make Mother sick with morning sickness. We're very useful. Little treasure loves Mother so much. Even if we have to suffer with Mother, it's okay. I and my brother will eat very little so Mother doesn't have to work hard. Little one just really wants Mother to hold him." I was stunned. How could unborn children feel such anxiety and fear of loss? Recalling my past life, I despised myself from the moment I learned I was pregnant, lashing out uncontrollably, even cursing how I'd conceived this bastard. All that resentment, the two children sensed it all. So in this life, they were desperate to make me hear their voices, eager to prove their worth. My eyes burned hot, tears spilling uncontrollably into my hair. "Mother, Mother, don't cry. Mother, it's my sister and I who are no good, making you sad." I hastily wiped away my tears, wishing I could cut both their little faces and say, "No matter who your father is, this time, Mother will bring you both into this world. Mother will love you and cherish you. You are both the apples of Mother's eye. Even if we never have a father, I will protect my son and daughter. We don't need some great hero to save us. Just like today, didn't the three of us work together and beat those villains to a pulp?" My words turned the little one's tears into smiles. This is my first time being a mother too. I'll be scared and want to run away sometimes. But this time, I promise you, I'll face every hardship bravely. My daughter's sweet voice chimed in, "Mommy, Mommy. Even if no great hero comes to save us, my brother and I were born to be your strongest allies. The three of us are one heart, one soul." My son declared in his deep, resonant voice, as if swearing an oath, "When I grow up, I'll be the great hero who protects Mother and little sister." I laughed so happily, whether that man existed or not didn't matter. What mattered was that I now had my heart's soft spot, and they were also my strongest support. 18 children's emotions come and go in a flash. Soon, they were chattering away again about finding their father. "Daddy is tall and mighty, his whole body smells so nice, his big hands can cradle Mother's waist. He's strong too, he carried me and my sister in a cradle all the way into Mother's belly." Listening to the twins chatter by my ear, I drifted off into a relaxed sleep, and in my drowsiness, I dreamt. In the dream, I was on Jade Spring Mountain. My sedan chair was being carried by porters along a narrow path. Bandits wielding knives blocked the way, and the porters vanished without a trace. Cornered by the bandits, I had nowhere to turn when suddenly another group of masked assassins charged in. Quick-witted in my panic, I shouted at the assassins, "Where have you been? Hurry and save me!" The bandits mistakenly believed the assassins had come to rescue me and immediately attacked them with their blades. The assassins, who had originally been pursuing someone else, immediately counterattacked when the bandits suddenly attacked them. So the two groups clashed violently. I tried to escape in the chaos, but a bandit kicked me hard, sending me crashing to the ground. My head slammed against a rock, and my vision instantly blurred. Through the flickering darkness, I saw a tall figure stumbling toward me. A pair of strong hands lifted my body. I remember the jolting ride, as if fleeing for our lives. Running and running, until finally, a foot missed its footing. What followed was a tumultuous, damp dream. I jolted awake, my ears flushing crimson. What sweet dream did mother have? Did you dream of father? The two children in my womb seemed to sense something. I covered my face in shame. Children shouldn't meddle in grown-ups' affairs. The man in the dream was indeed tall and straight, radiating a pleasant scent. Those rough, warm hands could lift me entirely. The entire dream left me burning with discomfort, utterly consumed by him. Yet his face remained indistinct. Was it Sui? But Sui wasn't as muscular as the man in my dream. Was it Gu Xiaoyu? But the man in my dream was fairer than Gu Xiaoyu. The crown prince? Impossible. Perhaps only Lin Chuyan could tell me the answer. She must have seen something. 19 The next morning, Lin Chuyan was bound hand and foot, kneeling in the He family ancestral hall. When the Lin family fell into ruin, Lin Chuyan was only 10. She nearly ended up sold to a brothel as a child prostitute. I begged my father to take her in, and he, being a man of honor, treated her as his adopted daughter these past 10 years. After a decade of nurturing, it was time to sever all ties formally. Whatever became of Lin Chuyan afterward was no longer the He family's concern. I arrived early, before the clan elders. I had someone watch the shrine entrance and asked Lin Chuyan, who had knelt all night, who exactly was the one who assaulted me that day. Lin Chuyan lifted her eyes, swollen crimson from exhaustion. Even if it wasn't bandits, it was mountain wolves or beasts. The child in your womb is a bastard. I didn't grow angry. Instead, I smiled. Cousin, you've always resented me. You hate that I have both parents, that my family is prosperous, unlike you, who lost everything at a young age and live under others' roofs. You hate me, so you can't bear to see me happy. Your rage, your curses, your fury born of shame, it only proves one thing. I lifted Lin Chuyan's chin, my smile seductive. The man who shared my bed must be either wealthy or noble. His status even surpasses Xie Ruian's. That's why you're seething with hatred. You feared I'd use the child in my womb to climb the social ladder, so you tricked me into aborting it. Without the fetus, I'd be finished too, right? Her thoughts exposed before the ancestral hall, Lin Chuyan stared at me in horror, stubbornly retorting, "Stop dreaming. The child in your belly is nothing but a bastard with no father to claim it." I slapped her face hard, sending it askew. Now that the two children in my womb could hear and speak, how could I let her slander them for nothing? 20 at noon, the He family elders expelled Lin Chuyan from the collateral lineage. To expel her from the estate, a public justification was needed. Others sought to cover her disgrace, suggesting vague charges like ingratitude or tarnishing the family name. My mother settled it decisively. Since she's no longer a daughter of the He family, why bother preserving her reputation? Speak plainly. Lin Chuyan committed adultery with her future brother-in-law before marriage, secretly bearing his bastard child. She has disgraced our family honor and is utterly shameless. She is expelled from the He residence. Her future life, death, merits, or faults shall have nothing to do with the He family. Once these words spread, Lin Chuyan's reputation was utterly ruined. She snapped, "You dare. The child in my womb is the Marquise Yes. How dare you call it bastard? I am the future Marquise. You'll be the ones climbing the social ladder through me." No one heeded her fury. Her hairpins were torn from her hair, and she was flung from the He residence, crashing onto the street. Guards had been waiting for some time, ready to arrest Lin Chuyan. But Lin Chuyan drew a dagger and pressed it against her barely visible belly, threatening the officers. "This is the young heir of the Dingen Marquis. Touch me, and the Marquis' household will make you pay with both our lives." The officers had orders to capture her alive for interrogation at the magistrate's office. Seeing Lin Chuyan so agitated, they dared not make a rash arrest. Thus, Lin Chuyan, knife pressed against her belly, jogged all the way to the Marquis' residence. Word spread that she had knocked on the Marquis' gate. Xie Ruian welcomed her inside, protecting her. 21 The imperial decree's designated wedding date drew ever closer, yet no word of annulment came from the palace. Just as my anxiety peaked, a rustle stirred from the corner. I looked up to see Gu Xiaoyu scaling the wall into my courtyard. Lightly clad today, his movements were agile and precise. Landing, he stirred a shower of magnolia petals. Startled, I gasped. Gu Xiaoyu leaned close, covering my mouth with his hand. "Fear not, young lady. I've come to deliver a message." It wasn't fear that gripped me, but awe at the sheer, breathtaking beauty of this Gu Xiaoyu's physique. With mother-child empathy running high, I quickly banished those impure thoughts lest they corrupt the child. I blinked to signal understanding, and Gu Xiaoyu released his hand, bowing to me. I truly found no proper excuse to see Miss He, so I had to climb the wall. "Rest assured, no one will know I met with you today. I'm preparing for my wedding now, and after nearly getting into trouble, my family keeps a close watch on me. I truly can't meet with outside men casually. Young general, climbing over the wall to see me, must be urgent business?" Gu Xiaoyu replied concisely. "Miss, you did indeed encounter bandits on the official road west of Jade Spring Mountain that day. Correct?" My guard instinctively rose, but Gu Xiaoyu smiled. "Fear not. I came today to tell you that those 5 bandits were already slaughtered by assassins on the mountain that very day. As expected. The bandits Lin Chuyan had bribed stood no chance against assassins sent to kill the crown prince. They died with no shameful acts upon them. Therefore, everything Lin Chuyan claimed that day was a lie. I know that at the Moon Gathering Pavilion that day, circumstances forced you, Miss He, to tell a few small lies. It doesn't matter. Those bandits are dead. No one will come forward to expose you. Put your mind at ease. Hee, mother's belly is carrying 2 little treasures now. Did the young marshal come today to ease my mind?" Gu Xiaoyu nodded. "Sui said you've been anxious and troubled. The crown prince's assassination attempt at Jade Spring Mountain was supposed to be a secret case, but you were also a victim. I shared this information with you to ease your mind. Father Gu is so kind. Mother has indeed been worried these past few days that those bandits might suddenly appear and slander her innocence. Now, with Father Gu here, Mother can finally sleep soundly." A little girl's starstruck voice echoed in my mind. I felt myself blushing and my heart racing for some reason. "You went to all this trouble to climb over the wall just for this? Ensuring your peace of mind is my top priority." Just then, someone approached. As Gu Xiaoyu prepared to scale the wall again, I hastily grabbed him, only realizing in my panic that I'd seized his wrist. I hastily released him, stammering out, "Was young Marshal Gu also at Jade Spring Mountain that day?" Gu Xiaoyu replied, "Of course I was. If I hadn't been there, someone would have been in danger." "What? Who would have been in danger?" Before I could ask further, Gu Xiaoyu had already leaped over the wall and vanished. My daughter's excited voice echoed in my mind. "Mommy, Daddy Gu definitely meant that if he hadn't been on the mountain and hadn't saved you, you would have been in danger." 22 As I gazed at the scattered magnolia petals, lost in my thoughts, my father suddenly appeared in my line of sight. Accompanying him, to my astonishment, was Sui, the 3rd-place scholar. Sui walked beside my father, approaching me with great courtesy. "Miss He, it's been a while." I bowed in return. "Minister Su." Gu Xiaoyu watched me attempt to scale the wall, while Sui entered my courtyard openly and unapologetically. "Ling Shu, your father invited the 3rd-place scholar to our residence to discuss annulling your betrothal. The scholar is cunning and resourceful, and he aided you that day. The Marquis's household wields immense power, and this betrothal was granted by His Majesty himself. We had no choice but to seek Su's assistance." The excuse Gu Xiaoyu couldn't find, Sui had discovered. The little son in my belly said, "Father Su is still the best. No need to climb walls, he came to see Mother openly." I couldn't help asking, "What's the latest on the annulment?" Sui replied, "His Royal Highness the Crown Prince reported Xie Ruian's conduct to the Emperor that day, and His Majesty was displeased. Yet this imperial match, while ostensibly the Emperor's decree, was actually orchestrated by Her Imperial Majesty the Dowager Empress." The Dowager Empress? I never imagined my marriage could stir the Dowager Empress to specifically mention my name. My father holds a second-rank official position, his students spread far and wide, making him a pillar among the civil officials. Even so, the Empress Dowager, who has always devoted herself to Buddhism and stayed out of external affairs, never once paid attention to the marriages of the late emperor's many princesses. Why would she single me out? If she had noticed me at some palace banquet before and wanted to betroth me to a prince, that would make sense. But Xie Ruoyan is just an external official. Sui explained, the Empress Dowager believes there is a misunderstanding between you and Xie Ruoyan. She will host a banquet in the palace in 3 days. She requests your presence to resolve this misunderstanding with Xie Ruoyan. Then, the wedding will proceed as scheduled. It's over. Mother still can't escape Xie Ruoyan's clutches. If I marry him, Xie Ruoyan will devour Mother. Not even His Royal Highness the Crown Prince can overturn this imperial match? Sui shook his head helplessly. The emperor, bound by filial duty, cannot defy the Empress Dowager. The Crown Prince is likewise constrained. I was puzzled. The Empress Dowager has practiced Buddhism and observed vegetarianism for years. Why would she take such interest in the marriage of an external official? Xie Ruoyan inherited his title through an edict issued by the Empress Dowager herself. Later, when he joined the Crown Prince's camp to earn his stripes, that too was her doing, Sui explained. Her Majesty holds Xie Ruoyan in high regard. My father looked utterly disheartened upon hearing this. The Marquis's household can still be swayed, but the Empress Dowager's decree is something even the Emperor dare not defy. This marriage seems inescapable. My daughter, why must your fate be so cruel? Sui offered comfort, Minister he, when one reaches a dead end, a new path may yet emerge. Never give up until the very end. Now that we know Xie Ruoyan harbors malicious intent, we cannot stand by and watch Miss He leap into the fire. Lord, he once showed kindness and support to this humble one. I shall do everything in my power to assist. Father expressed his deepest gratitude to Sui. Before leaving the He residence, Sui stopped me at the pavilion by the rock garden. Miss He, forgive my intrusion, but might I examine your pulse once more? I extended my hand for him to take my pulse again. The 2 children trusted Sui and made no attempt to hide their presence. It is indeed a pregnancy pulse. If I am not mistaken, it should be twins. A genuine look of joy flickered across Suyi's brow as he spoke. The younger son in my womb said, I think Father Su is our real dad. Look, he's the only one who sensed our presence. After confirming Mother's pregnancy, he was clearly overjoyed, just like someone who knows he's about to have a child. 23 Lord Su, aren't you curious whose child I'm carrying? I strained to read Suyi's gaze and expression. He merely offered a gentle smile. You will know in time, young lady. So you know? Be cautious at the palace banquet in 3 days. Both Xiaoyu and I will be present, as will His Highness. Sui evaded my question and rose to leave. Minister Su. I called after him. I only want to know, were you also present that day at Jade Spring Mountain? I was indeed there that day. Why do you care so much about me? Miss He, I came today because of my duty. Duty? What duty? Before I could press further, Suyi's figure had vanished into the rockery and flower beds. I stood dazed in the pavilion. That day, Gu Xiaoyu was there. Sui was there too. Who was it? Just then, the little girl in my womb suddenly piped up, Mother, why must we choose? Can't we have both? If I were you, I'd gladly accept both the Grand Marshal and the third-place scholar. I didn't accept them, not because I didn't want to. I hadn't told my child that in this world, men could have multiple wives and concubines, while women were expected to remain utterly faithful. But I didn't contradict my daughter's innocence. Ambition born in the womb was a good thing. My daughter would surely accomplish great things when she grew up. 3 days later, I dressed in my finest to attend the palace banquet. This spring banquet, orchestrated by the Empress Dowager, was held in the Imperial Garden. Only the most powerful and influential were invited. The women were seated in Tingfeng Garden, while the court officials gathered in Wangyue Pavilion. Upon entering the palace, I was immediately led to Tingfeng Garden. I didn't even catch a glimpse of Sui or Gu Xiaoyu. Within the wind-listening garden, the Empress Dowager occupied the seat of honor. Empress Dowager Zhao was remarkably youthful, not yet 50. Though traces of time graced her features, one glance still revealed glimpses of her once peerless beauty. In her youth, she possessed a proud and haughty nature. Once, in a fit of pique against the late emperor, she left the palace to practice asceticism for 3 years. Ultimately, it was the late emperor who relented, personally going to fetch her back. From then on, her favor never waned, and she rose steadily to the rank of imperial noble consort. After the late emperor's passing, the current Emperor Rong ascended the throne. The imperial noble consort thus became Empress Dowager. Emperor Rong was dutiful and filial. Though he had an empress, the Empress Dowager still held sway over the imperial harem. As the banquet commenced, Xie Ruian approached me with a wine cup, humbly apologizing before the Empress Dowager and the assembled nobles. Ling Shu, there was a misunderstanding between us recently. It was all my fault. Since we are destined to be husband and wife, I must apologize first. He was attempting to put me in an awkward position, forcing me to save face before everyone present and preventing me from openly confronting him. I responded with a graceful, faint smile. What misunderstanding could there be between us? Your lordship cherishes Lady Lin, and she bears your child. You two are a perfect match. I am not a cruel person. I would never use the imperial decree of marriage to tear apart such a good union. These past days, the capital has been abuzz with rumors. Lord Xia, despite the emperor's betrothal decree, has secretly conceived with Lin Chuyan, the cousin of the He family. Such conduct is, after all, beneath respectable standards. It's only natural that the He family's daughter would take offense at this. In this matter, I hold the moral high ground. Unexpectedly, Xie Ruian declared, Lin Chuyan laced the wine that day and disguised herself as you, Ling Shu. I was intoxicated and mistook her for you, which is how she succeeded in her scheme. But rest assured, after uncovering this, I administered abortion medicine to Lin Chuyan and expelled her from the Marquis's residence. The inner courtyard now stands pure and ready for you, Ling Shu, to enter as the rightful mistress of the house. I was secretly shocked. Recent rumors claimed Lin Chuyan had been forced to drink a deadly concoction by the Marquis's household, ending up a corpse with her unborn child, discarded in the mass grave. Now Xie Ruian had admitted it himself. What a ruthless man! The younger son couldn't help but say, Lin Chuyan tried to stop him from drinking that poisoned bowl that day, yet he acted so utterly mercilessly. This wicked Marquis never values human life, he simply disposes of those he deems useless. This life's Lin Chuyan, was she not the same as my past self? 25 The Marquis truly has a heart of stone. Yet Lady Lin was utterly devoted to you. Devoted? She only coveted the title of Marquise. Who the Marquis was meant nothing to her. What man would dare marry such a woman? Xie Ruian's cold-heartedness was chilling. Yet the Empress Dowager personally spoke in his defense. Marquis Xia handles affairs decisively and isn't deceived by villains. What fault is there in that? He Ling Shu, step forward. I hurried forward to curtsy. I await the Empress Dowager's guidance. The Empress Dowager said, I have heard of the events of these past days. Ultimately, Marquis Xia was manipulated by Lady Lin because of his affection for you, nearly causing a grave mistake. You should understand his devotion and not blame him harshly. Your Majesty, Xie Ruian wished me dead. What affection could he possibly have for me? Moreover, Marquis Xia has publicly apologized to you today. He is a marquis with military merits. That he bowed his head to admit his fault is already a blessing beyond measure for you. To hold a grudge now would show your own lack of understanding. No one present dared speak for me. Instead, a noble lady echoed the Empress Dowager's words, Miss He, it's perfectly common for men to have multiple wives and concubines. Marquis Xia merely committed a minor offense. He's already banished that Lin woman, what more could you possibly want? After all, this marriage was bestowed by His Majesty himself, with the Empress Dowager personally arranging the match. If you persist in pressing the issue, it will inevitably give the impression that you harbor resentment toward the imperial family, that you possess disloyal thoughts. Though that Lin woman was disowned and expelled by the He family, who doesn't know she was once their adopted daughter? Her despicable actions, who's to say they weren't Secretary He's scheme to wed both his daughters into the Marquis's household? Truth be told, it's your He family who's climbing the social ladder by marrying into the Marquis's estate. The guests gathered in listening to the Wind Garden were all the Empress Dowager's mouthpieces. The Empress Dowager's partiality towards Xie Ruian was already glaringly obvious. Even the Emperor feared her to some extent. If I refused outright, I doubted it would end well. This palace banquet was the Empress Dowager's attempt to corner me on Xie Ruian's behalf. He Ling Shu, for the sake of this old woman, you needn't dwell on it. With the Empress Dowager having spoken thus, any further defiance would be a capital offense. Gritting my teeth and closing my eyes, I knelt and replied, "This humble daughter humbly accepts the Empress Dowager's guidance." That is the proper response. Satisfied, the Empress Dowager stepped aside as Xie Ruian approached and personally helped me to my feet. "Lady He, once you marry into this family, I shall treat you well indeed." Oh my, this Marquis Xie truly is devoted. He specifically requested to marry He Lingshu with his military merits. Such a fine man, if not for Lady Lin's scheming, how could he have erred? I forced a smile. "Thank you, Your Excellency." I rose and took my seat as the Empress Dowager sent over pastries and tea. Still shaken, I picked up the teacup and took a sip. Suddenly, the child within me screamed, "Mother, don't drink. The tea is poisoned." I immediately spat the tea back into the cup, but it was too late. My body began to itch. The noble lady across from me screamed. I looked into the water and saw my face rapidly covering with red spots. These red spots. They resemble pregnancy marks. The Empress Dowager's piercing gaze fixed on me. "He Ling Shu, could it be? You are also pregnant?" Before I could react, the matron beside the Empress Dowager had already seized my pulse. Both children were suffering from the tea's effects, and before I knew it, someone had detected the pregnancy pulse. Xie Ruian, who moments ago had looked at me with such deep affection, now watched me with schadenfreude. "Ling Shu, I've never touched you. Where did the child in your womb come from?" 26 Weary done for. "Mother, we've fallen into a trap. Don't be afraid." I forced myself to stay calm and asked them, "Are you both all right? The tea must have contained an herb that triggers mother's allergies." "We're fine, Mother." Enduring the rash, I relaxed slightly, "as long as you're both okay." I dreaded that my carelessness might have caused me to drink another potion harmful to the two children. The Empress Dowager raged, "He Ling Shu. How dare you, having received imperial favor, engage in illicit affairs? Two maids forced me to kneel on the ground. I took you for a chaste saint, but you're nothing but a shameless harlot crying thief. How dare you turn the tables on Marquis Xia? Your insolence knows no bounds." Only now did I recall Suyi's warning, to be cautious at the palace banquet. I thought I only needed to guard against Xie Ruian, never expecting Empress Dowager Zhao to be the one orchestrating this scheme. Xie Ruian must have reported me to the Empress Dowager, but how could she possibly believe him? Even the Crown Prince's words hold no weight, yet Xie Ruian managed to get the Empress Dowager to personally host a banquet to target me, the daughter of a mere civil official? "Ling Shu, after hiding it for so long, you've been exposed. How disappointing." Xie Ruian gloated, "A woman caught in adultery deserves to be drowned in a pig cage. No matter how much I care for you, I can't save you now." Why? Xie Ruian's affair is a minor offense, yet my mother's pregnancy by another man demands her life. This is unjust. Men and women are both human, why the double standard? The two children spoke for me, their innocent words cutting straight to the heart of the matter. As long as Xie Ruian refused to admit it, the child in my womb would be branded a bastard born of adultery. My death was certain. Yet Xie Ruian didn't press me to name the lover. Just as in my past life, he'd watched me suffer a miscarriage without ever asking who the man was. Not even the Empress Dowager inquired. It seemed they only wished for me to die along with my unborn child. Since death was inevitable, I might as well go mad. "Your Imperial Majesty," I shouted at the Empress Dowager seated on the main throne, "if meeting secretly with another deserves drowning in a pig cage, then shouldn't the Marquis and Lady Lin also be drowned for their affair? Incidentally, Lin Chuyan's child is already 2 months along. That means 2 months ago, Marquis Xia betrayed our betrothal. He was the first to dishonor the Emperor's grace. My child is only 1 month old. At the very least, it proves Xie Ruian wronged me first, and only then did I betray him. I can die, but what right does Xie Ruian have to live on? These treasonous words sent shockwaves through the crowd, enraging the Empress Dowager. Insolent! You commit such a grave offense and still dare to quibble. Guards! Take He Lingshu away. Flog her until the bastard in her womb is aborted, then drown her in the water torture. Guards closed in on me, and the 2 children in my womb cried out in panic, "Why isn't Daddy coming to save Mommy yet? Brother, we haven't even confirmed who our father is. What should we do? What should we do?" I know! Fathers and sons share a spiritual bond. If we keep calling out for Father, he'll come save Mother. Will it really work? Mother and we were reborn, this method must be meant to work. It's our only hope now, or Mother will be beaten to death. The younger sister cried out, "I'll call for Father Gu. Then I'll call for Father Su." The 2 children cried out for help with all their hearts from within the womb. Su Yi and Gu Xiaoyu were indeed in the Imperial Garden, though not in Tingfeng Garden. They were very close by. If blood ties truly existed, perhaps the children could indeed summon their saviors. Guards bound my hands, preparing to drag me away. I struggled desperately. "Your Imperial Majesty, I still bear an imperial betrothal. You cannot overstep imperial authority to kill me." Sly tongue! Guards, bind her here. Flog her to death in public. Let all the noble ladies of the capital see what becomes of those with treacherous hearts. Guards forced me to kneel where I stood, raised their long rods to strike my back. The first blow was about to fall. A terrified wail erupted from the child within me. They had chosen me as their mother in 2 lifetimes, cast into my womb. The first ended in tragedy, must this one also meet a cruel death with me? No! You cannot kill me! Desperate, I blurted out a lie, because I carry the crown prince's child. I bear the heir to the throne. Who dares touch me? 27 The executioner's motion froze abruptly. Everyone fell silent, stunned. In the end, it always came down to invoking the crown prince. "Your Highness, I apologize. To save my life, I had no choice." The Empress Dowager, however, seemed to jump up in fury. She roared, "Nonsense! Someone, slap this harlot's mouth shut. How dare she slander the royal family?" The eunuch beside her stepped forward, forced my face into position, and raised his fat hand to smash my mouth. But suddenly, a gust of wind swept past my ear, followed by a piercing scream. I opened my eyes to see the eunuch about to execute me being kicked flying. The one who struck, my gaze followed upward. In the blinding white sunlight, Li Changye stood beside me, one hand resting on my shoulder, the other casually adjusting the jade ornaments on his robe. His arrival was so timely, like a divine soldier descending from the heavens. The 2 children within me were equally stunned. Why would the crown prince be the one to arrive? Soon after, Su Yi and Gu Xiaoyu also came into view. They must have sensed our distress and summoned the crown prince to save Mother. The children's words snapped me back to reality. Yes, only the crown prince himself could command such a situation. Both Gu Xiaoyu and Su Yi were intelligent men. Had either sensed through telepathy that harm had come to me or the children, they would have sought the crown prince's aid. Thus, his presence here was entirely reasonable. Just now, my mind had wandered. For a fleeting moment, I'd even imagined myself wearing the phoenix crown of the crown princess. 28 Li Changye, ever unpredictable in his actions, kicked the chief eunuch by the Empress Dowager's side so hard that blood spurted from his mouth, leaving him crippled. The Empress Dowager roared in fury, "Crown Prince! What are you doing? Grandmother, if I hadn't come, He Lingshu would have been unjustly executed. He Lingshu committed a grave crime. What injustice is there? Empress Dowager, Her Majesty's life rests with His Majesty's judgment. You cannot overstep your authority. Look, His Majesty has arrived." Li Changye turned to greet Emperor Rongjing and the Empress. The Emperor entered with grave expression, dismissing all attendees except Xie Ruian and the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager demanded sternly, "Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this? Mother, disgraceful matters should not be aired publicly. With others present, the situation would only become more embarrassing." The Empress Dowager assumed the disgraceful matter referred to her, sneering coldly, "He Lingshu is merely the daughter of a lowly subject. Losing her virtue is a capital offense, she should be executed publicly." She is neither a princess nor an imperial consort, why should her dignity be spared? The crown prince countered with a smile, if loss of chastity warrants death, how dare the imperial grandmother live to this day? The empress dowager froze, you wretch! What nonsense are you spouting? The crown prince raised his hand, bring the person forward. Gu Xiaoyu escorted forward a disheveled old man. Torture was evident on him, his hair, streaked with gray, hung wildly over his face, obscuring his features. Another figure was led in, a neatly dressed, haggard woman. Xie Ruian gasped, Lin Chuyen? You're still alive? The woman lifted her eyes, glaring at Xie Ruian like a vengeful specter. Marquis, I didn't die. Our child died. You tricked me into drinking that bowl of porridge. You killed our child. I loved you so much that day, I risked everything to stop you from drinking that poison soup. Yet you wanted me dead, along with our child. You threw me into the mass grave, hoping wild dogs would tear me apart. But before the dogs arrived, the crown prince's men were there first. Lin Chuyan's gaze shifted to Li Chanya, the malice in her eyes melting into admiration. His Royal Highness saved me, so I must aid him. Xie Ruian, you betrayed me, now you shall die too. Lin Chuyan, like a madwoman who'd gambled everything and now clung only to vengeance, shouted, Marquis Xie lusted after my beauty, coaxing and deceiving me into his bed. Lying beside him, I heard too many of his sleep whispers. Do you know what he murmured most each night? His favorite words were, I am a prince, mother, I am a prince. Guess who he called mother? Lin Chuyan pointed at the Empress Dowager, laughing maniacally, this very Empress Dowager. An old pearl-bearing oyster. She bore an illegitimate son outside the palace with the old Marquis of Xia. That child is Xie Ruian. The Empress Dowager rose in fury. Who dares bring this lunatic to slander this palace? The crown prince chuckled, Grandmother, care to see your old flame? The hooded man was kicked forward, revealing his true face. I recognized him instantly. It was indeed Xia Hong, the old Marquis of Xia, who had practiced cultivation for years. By all accounts, Xia Hong should have cultivated an ethereal, ascetic demeanor through years of practice. Yet the man before them was bloated and gluttonous, his eyes hollowed by excessive indulgence. Alongside Xia Hong, over a dozen paintings were presented before the Emperor and Empress Dowager. Each unfolded to reveal a portrait of a voluptuous beauty, every face painted with the Empress Dowager's features. The crown prince exposed him without mercy. Xia Hong claims to have devoted himself to cultivation for years in memory of his late wife. Yet he worships not the gods, but portraits of the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager in these portraits is rendered with astonishing realism, her appearance changing with each passing year. How could Xia Hong have painted such lifelike depictions unless he met her annually? Grandmother, every spring you leave the palace for 3 months to worship Buddha. During these 3 months, are you truly practicing asceticism, or are you engaging in illicit affairs? The Empress Dowager trembled with rage, roaring at the Empress, Empress. How have you raised your children? The Empress replied respectfully, Mother, the Crown Prince's words are backed by both witnesses and evidence. Li Chanya met the Empress Dowager's gaze. Xia Hong's retreat lies but 10 li from Wanfo Temple. Each spring you leave the palace to meet him daily. Are you not afraid of producing another Xie Ruian? Listening nearby, my eyes nearly popped out of my head. What did this mean? Was Xie Ruian the illegitimate son of the Empress Dowager and the old Marquis? No wonder the Empress Dowager favored and doted on Xie Ruian, even meddling in his marriage. No wonder Xie Ruian could persuade the Empress Dowager to set this trap against me at today's banquet. All of this was the Empress Dowager, as a mother, seeking revenge for her youngest son. The Empress Dowager's face turned deathly pale. Your Majesty, would you allow your son to humiliate his own mother like this? Emperor Rongjing's expression darkened. Mother, I dismissed everyone today precisely to conceal your disgrace. 29 Before Xia Hong was brought in, the Crown Prince's men had already tortured him, prying open his mouth until he confessed everything. Who knows what methods Li Chanya used, but he managed to drive a cunning man like Xia Hong completely mad. Now raving and delirious, upon seeing the Empress Dowager, he suddenly shouted, Rower, will you come this spring? Will you come? Rower was the Empress Dowager's maiden name. Upon Li Chanya's command, Gu Xiaoyu brought forward 5 more servants. The moment they saw the emperor, they all confessed. In the 35th year of Rongxing, when Her Majesty the Empress Dowager left the palace in a huff to practice asceticism, she rekindled her old passion with Xia Hong. Thereafter, they met daily at the country estate, living as husband and wife, stated the estate's old steward. In the 36th year of Rongxing, the Empress Dowager conceived outside the palace. To grant this child legitimate birth, the cunning old wet nurse, after being tortured, truthfully recounted the events of that year. Xia Hong administered a drug to his lawful wife, Lady Lu, causing her to exhibit symptoms of a false pregnancy. In reality, he had laced it with deadly dried grass. Her belly swelled and grew large. With doctors complicit in the deception, she believed herself truly pregnant. The mistress loved the Marquis deeply. After years of trying unsuccessfully to conceive, she rejoiced daily over this child, until 10 months later, when she suddenly bled to death. That day, Xia Hong poisoned all the mistress's trusted attendants from her dowry, allowing only those of us bound by death contracts to the Marquis's household into the delivery chamber. We watched helplessly as the mistress bled to death from abdominal pain. The moment her last breath left her, Xia Hong presented the swaddled infant, declaring his wife had died in childbirth, when in truth, he had cut open her belly to secure this bastard son's rightful place. All of this was a grand deception, and that infant boy from back then was. The servants who knew the old story all turned their gaze towards Xia Ruian. The Empress Dowager's face turned deathly pale as maternal instinct propelled her to shield Xia Ruian. Hidden behind her, Xia Ruian was engulfed by a wave of overwhelming shame. All these years, he had meticulously cultivated his reputation to conceal the truth of his illegitimate birth. Now, exposed before all, what overwhelmed him first was not anger, but a crushing sense of disgrace and inferiority. Father, speaking of which, this Xia Ruian is your half-brother by the same mother. Shouldn't I address him as imperial uncle? Li Changye rubbed salt into Xia Ruian's wound, his smile dripping with sarcasm. No wonder the Lu family suspected Xia Ruian wasn't Lu's biological son back then. When they came to the capital to protest, the Empress Dowager even issued a special imperial decree to ensure Xia Ruian inherited his title. No wonder the Empress Dowager went to such lengths to protect Xia Ruian's reputation, using the Spring and Ottoman style to shift all the credit for the Eastern Palace's disaster relief and bandit suppression campaigns onto him. She even arranged his marriage to the He family, hoping to win over the civil officials through this alliance. Every single one of these actions shows how deeply the Empress Dowager loved her son and planned for his future. The Crown Prince delivered a cutting retort. Father, when you ascended the throne, did the Empress Dowager ever orchestrate such elaborate schemes for you? Emperor Rongjing's face darkened. When he was born, relations between the Empress Dowager and the late emperor had reached their lowest ebb. Later, the Empress Dowager left the palace in a huff to pursue spiritual cultivation, leaving Emperor Rongjing profoundly neglected. His ascent to the throne was achieved through relentless personal struggle. Since ascending the throne, Emperor Rongjing had treated the Empress Dowager with utmost respect and filial piety. He never imagined she would plant her illegitimate son under his very nose, using this younger son to undermine his own heir while building influence and reputation. The Empress Dowager had plotted for years, positioning Xia Ruian to either inherit the throne or, if necessary, kill the crown prince and seize power. Emperor Rongjing closed his eyes and sighed. Even for an emperor who ruled the entire realm, acknowledging that his own mother did not truly love him was a painful and difficult thing. Exhausted, he asked, "Mother, what more is there to say?" Seeing the crown prince had come prepared, the Empress Dowager knew further words were futile. She uttered only, "Your father had 3 palaces and 6 harems, with sons and grandsons everywhere. I merely kept Xia Hong as a male favorite and bore him a child. Compared to your father, I remained faithful to him. What wrong have I done?" "Very well, well said." Emperor Rongjing roared, "Mother is not at fault. The fault lies with that lecher Xia Hong who seduced her. The fault lies with that treacherous bastard Xia Ruian who sought to usurp her place. Guards! Drag this adulterous father and his depraved son away. Tear them apart by 5 horses. Tear them apart by 5 horses." 30 The imperial guards swarmed out. Seeing the situation turn against him, Xia Ruian suddenly drew the soft dagger from his waist, its blade sliding directly toward the Empress Dowager's neck as she shielded him. "Whoever dares touch them, I'll kill the Empress Dowager." The Empress Dowager gasped in horror, "Honor, I am your mother." "Mother, my foot." We both came from your womb, yet why can some claim the throne rightfully while I must bear the humiliation of serving as a lowly subject? Do you know how bitter and humiliating it is to kneel before that dog of an emperor every day? Kneeling to him alone would be bearable, but now his son dares flaunt his power before me. Xie Ruian glared at Li Changye with bitter hatred. He knew his biological father couldn't compare to the late emperor. He didn't even have the right to hate Emperor Rongjing, let alone this crown prince, born of legitimate bloodline with flawless lineage. Yet he couldn't accept it. That day on Yichuan Mountain, I saw the crown prince and my betrothed in a cave together. How could I not hate him? Both I and the child within me trembled. What did you say? Xie Ruian looked at me with grief and anger. He Ling Shu, did you think I sought to marry you only to win over your He family's influence? No. I had genuine feelings for you. After all, among the noble ladies of the capital, you alone were worthy of me. But how have you treated me? You ruined my only chance to kill the crown prince. When you were with him in that cave, did you ever consider my feelings? That hazy memory suddenly became crystal clear in my mind. The assassin sent to kill the crown prince that day was dispatched by Xie Ruian. Xie Ruian lured the crown prince into a trap using a deer. When the assassin struck, neither Gu Xiaoyu nor Su Yi were by the crown prince's side. The assassination was all but certain to succeed. But midway, the wounded crown prince encountered me, surrounded by bandits. In a moment of desperation, I sowed discord with a single remark. The assassin and the bandits then slaughtered each other in mutual misunderstanding. Thus, the crown prince fled with me. The poison in his body took effect, and he lost his mind in the cave. All of this was witnessed firsthand by Xie Ruian, who had rushed to the scene. Xie Ruian intended to kill us both with a single sword strike, but Gu Xiaoyu arrived nearby with his guards. Xie Ruian never got the chance to act. On his way down the mountain, however, he encountered Lin Chuyan, who was fleeing in disarray. Lin Chuyan wept as she confessed she was carrying his child. She had spent every last coin bribing the bandits to destroy me, only then could she secure a future for herself and her unborn child. Xie Ruian laughed bitterly. His assassination plot, years in the making, had been undone by a woman's jealousy. Upon learning of my pregnancy, he went mad with rage. It all clicked into place, so from the start, you never pressed me about the father's identity, because you already knew. Both you and the Empress Dowager knew the child in my womb carried royal blood. You chose silence, seeking only to kill both mother and child. After I died, you planned to reveal the truth to the crown prince, to kill him with words, right? That's exactly what Xie Ruian did in my past life. He sought revenge against the crown prince, but more so against me for my lost virtue, even though Xie Ruian and Lin Chuyan had orchestrated it all. Yet the perpetrators hated me first. That's why Xie Ruian never cared who the child's father was, because they knew from the start. That's why he went mad, poisoning me, strangling me, then forcing the crown prince to witness my death. Only then was he satisfied. When he failed to kill me at Lanyue Tower, he incited the Empress Dowager to set a trap. He was taking revenge on me, on the crown prince, and on the entire imperial family. 31 Overwhelming terror and revulsion engulfed me. As my mind went blank, Xie Ruian suddenly shoved the Empress Dowager aside and lunged at me with his blade. "Mother, be careful!" My unborn child cried out. But everything happened in the blink of an eye. Dizziness washed over me, my legs feeling as heavy as lead. In my eyes, Xie Ruian had shed his human skin. He was nothing but a demon. He lunged at me, like a rabid dog seeking to tear me apart. He had fallen for me at a palace banquet, compelling the Empress Dowager to bestow me upon him. From that moment, I became his possession in his eyes. He could not tolerate his property being claimed by another. He had no strength left to curse heaven, curse earth, curse his own parents, or curse the imperial family. So he cursed me. He demanded my death. Only with my death could the decades of resentment in his heart finally find release. He would drag 3 lives down with him to his grave. When the blade was mere inches from me, someone seized my waist, darting to shield me beside them. Long fingers then clamped down on Xie Ruian's blade. A sudden twist of the wrist shattered the steel into fragments. The motion was faster than a blur. One of the shards sliced through Xie Ruian's eye as it broke apart. The last face Xie Ruian saw with his left eye was Li Changye's, the crown prince he had always dismissed as a useless fool. Blood instantly flooded his vision as a tremendous force clamped down on his throat. I snapped back to reality, witnessing Li Changye's palm clamp down on Xie Ruian's throat. The sheer force was so immense that even a martial general like Xie Ruian, merely choked, had his limbs completely drained of strength by the suffocating blood rush, utterly unable to resist. Gripping Xie Ruian's vital point, Li Changye turned to the Empress Dowager. The Empress Dowager gasped in horror, pleading with Li Changye, "Don't kill him. You can't kill him. He's your uncle." The crown prince tilted his head, a twisted smile playing on his lips. "I will kill him." Amid the Empress Dowager's wails, Li Changye snapped Xie Ruian's neck with his bare hands, tossing the lifeless body before her like a decapitated duck. 32 Lin Chuyan witnessed the scene and instantly went mad with terror. The Empress Dowager crawled on all fours to embrace Xie Ruian. His eyes rolled upward, his body convulsing as he coughed up blood. He glared at her with resentment, grabbed her collar, and cried out, "Mother, I am a prince. Mother." Then his eyes bulged wide as he died. The Empress Dowager wailed in grief. The deranged Xia Hong was also hacked to death by the imperial guards. The floral fragrance of listening to the wind garden was drowned out by the stench of blood. Throughout the entire ordeal, Su Yi and Gu Xiaoyu deliberately stood in front of me, shielding me. Only when the crown prince approached did they step aside. Li Changye extended his hand toward me, only to notice Xie Ruian's blood still stained it. He took a handkerchief, wiped it meticulously, then rinsed his palm with wine from the table. Only then did his hand, without a moment's hesitation, envelop mine. My entire body stiffened, and the chatter within my womb fell silent. Li Changye's brows relaxed into a smile. "Did I startle you, crown princess?" Still shaken, I hadn't recovered from the series of revelations. He reached out to stroke my cheek. "Your little face has gone pale with fright." His words carried a hint of tenderness, yet they sent an inexplicable chill down my spine. After all, this very hand had just strangled a living man. "Ling Shu, I don't want you to fear me." He clasped my hands tightly, rough, warm palms. I'd always imagined the crown prince as delicate and pampered, never expecting such thick calluses from swords and brushes. His strength was staggering, enough to strangle a burly man like Xie Ruian with bare hands. Taller than Su Yi, fairer than Gu Xiaoyu. He leaned close to my ear. That familiar, potent scent of Borneo pierced through the floral fragrance and the stench of blood, overwhelming all my senses. I remembered now. The scent on Su Yi had rubbed off from the crown prince. I should have realized it sooner. He whispered in my ear, "Are the two children frightened too? Why aren't they making a sound?" My eyes widened as I heard the crown prince say earnestly. The two children were chattering frantically in my ear, calling for help. They were shouting, "Father, save mother! Save mother!" Li Changye took my hand and pressed it against his chest. "I'm here now." 33 So the children's intuition was right. Among the 3 men in the moon-grasping pavilion that day, one truly was their biological father. I'd suspected Gu Xiaoyu, I'd suspected Su Yi, but I dared not imagine it was the crown prince. In that critical moment, the children's telepathic connection had all been directed toward Li Changye. Li Changye helped me piece together every memory from that day on Yuchuan Mountain. Back then, he'd been ambushed and wounded on the mountain. While fleeing his assassins, he encountered the bandits sent by Lin Chuyan. In that critical moment, it was I who stirred up the assassins, causing the two groups to turn on each other and creating an escape route for the crown prince. When I hit my head on the rock and passed out, Li Changye carried me away. But by then, he had already been struck by a hidden weapon coated in a vicious beast poison. He used his protective heart pill to save his life, yet the poison drove him mad. In the cave, he was driven solely by instinct, while I remained unconscious. When the drug's effects wore off, Li Changye forced himself to seek help, only to tumble down a slope midway. He was rescued by Gu Xiaoyu and Su Yi, who had come searching for him, and brought back to the Eastern Palace. I lay unconscious in the Eastern Palace for 3 days. Upon awakening, I could not recall your features. It was only when we met again at the moon-gazing pavilion that I recognized you. It was I who instructed Xiaoyu and Su Yi to aid you. Gu Xiaoyu and Su Yi bowed respectfully before me. So that was it. Gu Xiaoyu had scaled the wall that day to deliver a message, claiming it was to reassure me, but it was the crown prince who wanted me to be at ease. Sui repeatedly checked my pulse and tended to my pregnancy, insisting it was his duty, but it was a duty assigned to him by the crown prince. Gu Xiaoyu laughed with hearty vigor. Miss He, should you ever need assistance again, you may still seek my help. Heaven and earth, before and behind the saddle, I shall be at your service. Sui remained gentle and scholarly. Princess consort, His Highness saved my life. His duty is my duty. In the days to come, I shall bow and serve without complaint. So it was all because of the crown prince that they treated me so well. I felt inexplicably disappointed. My daughter's wish to accept them both had vanished like a dream. 34 Ah. So neither of these men is our father. The children finally stirred, their voices tinged with disappointment. I wanted mother to accept both of these gentlemen. Now it seems impossible. Li Changye suddenly grew serious. I am your father. Are you dissatisfied? Huh. I gasped. You're talking to them. Even knowing everything, I still jumped. Li Changye's hand rested on my slightly rounded belly. From the moment they sensed me, I could hear their thoughts. I can even speak with them. While I was still reeling, the little son inside me spoke up for me. Of course we're dissatisfied. If Crown Prince Father recognized Mother so early on, why didn't he acknowledge her from the start? He made Mother suffer so much, enduring days of fear and hardship. Exactly. Little treasure won't forgive you just because you're tall, handsome, and skilled in martial arts. These two kids were getting a bit too bold. Now that they knew the Crown Prince was their real father, they were acting all familiar and pushy. I quickly tried to smooth things over. Your Highness, the children are just innocent and naive. Please don't take offense. To bring Xie Ruian to justice, we must first hold the Empress Dowager accountable. These past days, I've been investigating Xiaoyan Manor and couldn't spare the time. It's my fault for making you and the children wait so long. A man like Li Changye was actually apologizing to me sincerely. I understand, Your Highness. You must control the grand scheme to protect us. Li Changye's smile softened. Suddenly, he asked, Lingshu, you and the children only gained the ability to hear each other's thoughts after your rebirth, correct? I stared at Li Changye in disbelief as he continued, because I too came from a previous life. In that past existence, I also died, on the very day I performed the rites to guide your souls to the afterlife. In my past life, Li Changye had stumbled upon the scene of my miscarriage. By then, the poison had taken hold, my face purple, barely human. Only when the white silk cord snapped my neck, and the poisonous blotches on my face briefly faded from suffocation, did he recognize me. He instantly realized the blood and flesh spilling from beneath me was his own flesh and blood. But it was already too late. The only thing Li Changye could do for me was to remove his black outer robe and cover my disfigured body. Then he drew his sword, intent on killing Xie Ruian. Xie Ruian, however, defiantly challenged him, Your Highness, even if this matter were brought before the Emperor, I would still be in the right. They took the matter to the imperial court. Before the Emperor, and especially the Empress Dowager, Xie Ruian declared that when he had gone to rescue His Majesty at Jade Spring Mountain, he had personally witnessed the Crown Prince in the cave engaging in intimate relations with me, his own betrothed. He had seen the entire scene. He was the first to realize the child within me was the Crown Prince's. Driven by a man's jealousy, he sought to destroy me, leaving 3 lives lost in 1 death. He Lingshu was a fiancé I secured for the Emperor through military merit. Yet before our marriage, she was violated by the Crown Prince. This humble servant merely wished to avoid causing discord between sovereign and subject over a woman. Thus, I took it upon myself to abort the fetuses and strangle He Lingshu, a punishment she deserved. Could we truly expect the Crown Prince to admit his wrongdoing? His demeanor, one of bearing the weight of heaven's justice and enduring humiliation with stoic restraint, tugged at the Empress Dowager's heartstrings. The Crown Prince has always been a spoiled, depraved youth. As a high-ranking minister, he dared to commit such an outrageous act of seizing a minister's wife before you even ascended the throne. If you tolerate this now, once you ascend, will you not defy heaven's principles and human ethics? The Empress Dowager spoke with righteous indignation. The Empress, unable to bear it, murmured, those 2 children were, after all, royal blood. They were innocent infants. The Empress Dowager slapped her across the face. What children? They are clearly monstrous blights. Li Changye, witnessing his mother struck, erupted in fury. The Empress Dowager immediately clutched her chest, adopting the posture of a victim overcome by grief. That day, rumors of the Crown Prince's debauchery spread throughout the palace, that he was lustful and indulgent, driving the Empress Dowager into a rage that nearly killed her. Xie Ruian, however, emerged as the loyal mentor who admonished the Crown Prince and prevented him from committing further transgressions. So this was how Li Changye's infamous reputation began. My heart ached as I looked at Li Changye, but you were the Crown Prince. So capable, so upright, gifted in both civil and military arts, you should have lived 100 years, ascended the throne. How could you have died? Did the Empress Dowager harm you? Or did you die for me? Li Changye smiled, raising his hand to gently rub my nose. In my past life, our bond was but a fleeting dew. If you call it dying for love, then no, that was not the case. I was relieved I hadn't killed the Crown Prince, but then he said, in my previous life, I was killed by Xie Ruian. 35 Li Changye told me that all he could do for me back then was to ask a master to perform a memorial service for me and the 2 children. That master possessed some spiritual power and said that if the Crown Prince was willing to sacrifice 10 years of his current life, it could be exchanged for me and the 2 children to be reborn. Li Changye agreed. He knew full well that Ling Shu had saved his life, and that he owed her and the children. So he willingly sacrificed 10 years of his own life to ensure these 3 souls could enter a favorable reincarnation in another life, one that remained as elusive and intangible to him as ever. But on the day of the ceremony, Xie Ruian stormed in with his men. At that moment, Li Changye was kneeling in reverence to heaven and earth, offering his sacrifice with utmost devotion. Xie Ruian stabbed Li Changye through the back with a single thrust. Li Changye's blood splattered onto the 3 spirit tablets. That day, Xie Ruian declared that the Crown Prince had usurped his minister's wife and raised a rebellion. With the Empress Dowager's collusion, he slaughtered the Emperor and Empress, massacring the imperial palace. Afterward, the Empress Dowager elevated Xie Ruian, her illegitimate son, to the status of a prince of the late emperor who had been lost among the common people. Coupled with Xie Ruian's favorable reputation over the years, he smoothly ascended the throne. Upon his accession, he ordered Xia Hong, who had been feigning monastic life at the mountain retreat, brought to the capital, arranging for the Empress Dowager and Xia Hong to be together day and night. My pupils dilated in shock. I never imagined so much would unfold after my death. I couldn't resist touching Li Changye's chest. Does it hurt? Li Changye clasped my palm. It does. That blade struck with deadly precision, severing all my vitality in an instant. Yet I must still thank Xie Ruian from my past life. Hearing this, the child within me couldn't help but mutter, "Oh dear, what a foolish father." The master said I possessed both fortune and longevity, destined to live to 99. Sacrificing 10 years of my life could grant you reincarnation. But that day, through a twist of fate, my good fortune was traded for your rebirth, and even for the return of Father Emperor and Mother Empress. Li Changye laughed heartlessly. Dying alone to bring my loved ones back to life and see the wicked punished? I think that's a pretty good deal. Silly daddy. His little daughter sniffled in her baby voice. Little treasure forgives you. I just said that in my past life, I wouldn't have died for you out of love. But in this life, if anything happens to you or the children again, I truly will die for you. Thank goodness. Before the Empress Dowager, Li Changye stomped on Xie Ruian's twisted, unclosed skull. In this life, this bastard son is dead. The Empress Dowager watched helplessly as Li Changye humiliated the son she'd borne with her lover. Enraged, she lunged forward. The Crown Prince's sword struck an inch from her back. The Empress Dowager, emboldened by her status, shouted, "I am the late Emperor's lawful wife." The Empress Dowager of Daki. Your imperial grandmother. You dare not kill me. Li Changye tilted his head, revealing a mischievous grin. Great-grandmother, did you not say it yourself? That I am a rebellious, good-for-nothing scoundrel. What is there I cannot do? His sword struck the Empress Dowager's vital point, yet his other hand covered my eyes. Don't frighten the child. 7 months later, I safely gave birth to twins, a boy and a girl. The 2 little ones who had chattered endlessly to me from within my womb were finally born whole and healthy in this life. They met me, wrapped in warm swaddling clothes, held close in my arms. The boy was exquisitely delicate, his features mirroring Li Changye's. We named him Li Yan. The girl was as pure as snow, already showing signs of future beauty even in her swaddling clothes. We named her Li Ying. Over the past few months, Li Changye had often spoken to the babies while pressing his belly against mine. As a result, the moment they were born, they giggled at him. Beyond that, I noticed the boy preferred being held by Su Yi, while the girl favored Gu Xiaoyu. These two men had become the children's dream dads. Preferences formed in the womb aren't easily changed. Fortunately, Li Changye hadn't initially overheard the thoughts of our trio. Otherwise, his jealousy might have drowned Su Yi and Gu Xiaoyu. When the children turned 3, Emperor Rongjing passed away due to illness. He was still quite young, but the Empress Dowager, harboring resentment toward the previous emperor, had been poisoning him out of spite. After Li Changye's rebirth, he worked tirelessly to alter this outcome, extending the emperor's life by 3 years compared to his previous existence. Following the emperor's passing, Li Changye ascended the throne without incident. I rose from crown princess to become the rightful empress. When the children turned 4, the princess insisted on learning martial arts from Gu Xiaoyu. The prince preferred quiet pursuits and thus studied literature with Su Yi. One day, I accidentally let slip the story of how both children had sought out different fathers while still in the womb. As expected, he flew into a jealous rage, threatening to send Gu Xiaoyu to guard the frontier and Su Yi to remain stationed in Jiangnan. I could overlook it. The emperor crossed his arms, negotiating with me, "Just give me a kiss." I lunged forward and planted a fierce kiss on him. Those two men who'd been mistakenly claimed as fathers were utterly innocent. I couldn't possibly involve them in this. Of course, Li Changye was joking. Gu Xiaoyu was now a first-rank general marquis, and Su Yi was about to be promoted to chancellor. They weren't just Li Changye's trusted confidants, they were also the royal children's most esteemed mentors. When the children turned 6, Li Changye designated his son Li Yan as crown prince. Even in her womb, Inger harbored grand ambitions to conquer all men. After much thought, I realized only becoming empress could fulfill her desires. Li Changye laughed heartily upon hearing this, lifting the princess high in his arms. "Truly my daughter," he declared. "She possesses both courage and ambition. She shall be named imperial princess, competing equally with the crown prince. When the time comes, the throne shall belong to the most capable." Even in her mother's womb, Yenner displayed remarkable composure and poise. As she grew older, she became a miniature adult, unflappable even when faced with the collapse of a mountain. In public, she wore the solemn demeanor of a young scholar. Yet within the inner palace, she was simply a little rascal who loved burrowing into my embrace to act spoiled or begging Father Emperor for sweets. Everyone praised the prince and princess for their good fortune, born as the dragon and phoenix descendants of a prosperous era, with parents who were wise and virtuous. Whenever they heard such praise, the two children would beam with pride. Our good fortune? We earned it ourselves, fighting through hardships alongside our father and mother while still in our mother's womb. The end.